Hi, everyone. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Hi, Ginger. Hi, Carolyn. Thanks for being here. Good morning, beautiful souls. Indeed. Still morning where you are, eh? Probably, is it a 4-hour difference between us? I can't remember where you said you were. Hi, Carolyn. Well, thanks for being here, and don't worry about that. Don't worry about that at all. Um, Hi, Kent. Thanks for being here. Kent, you're welcome to come on with me if you want. Um, Ariel, thanks for being here. Welcome to the channel. Lisa, hi. Thanks. Thanks for coming back. Cheryl, thanks for being here from Manitoba. Um, yeah, Ken, if you want to come on with me, you're welcome to. I'll put the link in the chat right quick and then I'll take it off if you want to come on with me. Um, Kent is a local as well as me. If you guys don't know, I am local from Pictou County, from where Lily and Jack Sullivan went missing on May 2nd. Um, and Lily, 6, Jack, 4, and have yet to be located. And we're going to get into a little bit of, I'm going to play a couple of things. I'm actually going to play a little bit of Kent here. I've got it all prepared to go um, regarding his text between him and Daniel, because there's something that stands out to me there. And we're going to listen to the audio version of what the Globe and Mail put out. They actually have an audio version there as well, which will help my voice because of my weakness and stuff I have on my left side when I talk a lot. My voice starts to give out on me, and I am going to play the audio version, which it's right in that article. You'll see when I pull it up. And now, mind you, it's AI voice, but it's through Globe and Mail. It's their program that they do their their voice version. And um, but you'll notice things like they say they don't. The AI doesn't say Malaya's name correctly, um, but. Yeah, we'll see after you go through your stuff, maybe I can pop up. Yep, sure, you just let me know, and I'll just put the link in the chat, for you to click on, um, and then I can take it off as soon as you get on. Come on. I'm gonna send you, a text, messenger as well. I wanna order a sign. Um, yeah, so, and if it helps, it doesn't have to be delivered. If they're already coming down this way, so be it. But if they're not going to be in this area, my husband and I can come pick it up because we go for drive on his day off. We can just pick that area to be a day that we go for a drive and go pick it up. Whatever's easiest for you guys. Um, and I'd order two because my son and his girlfriend might want one too for their property. I'll check with them. Um, so if you guys do not know, um, Kent is taking orders for the Jack and Lily signs. Um, and I think it's a great idea to have those on your property, for more reasons than just one. Um, you know, numero uno, of course, to keep the Jack and Lily case alive. Um, and, for other reasons as well. Whether these signs will help find Lily and Jack. The other reason is to try to make change, which is a big thing for me because I think, things like this can happen all day long, whether it be in the US or here, which is rare for things, not as typical as in the US due to population numbers, and especially not um, here. We just don't have things like this happen. It's very, very rare. And you know, things have to change. So the CPS end of it as well, which Belinda herself has stated she is going to keep on top of that and find out what information did they know, where did things go wrong, and that end of it as well. Because, um, I mean, that has to be taken, a look at as well, and not just for, uh, you know, Jack and Lily, these children, but other children who are in similar circumstances, um, children who will be in similar circumstances. And all too often, we're hearing that CPS is involved in these cases. Um, I can name them off if you guys follow these cases. You know what I'm talking about. So, and it's not to put down processes and you know how things are done, and but you know things have to be looked at, things have to be revised, and accountability, like, you know don't try to defend, but be honest and say there's areas we need to look at and make changes, and so things like this do not happen again. Because one has to wonder where they were involved with these children, which seems, very quickly. They were contacted. We know that the children have had bruises, and the reason one of the things that was brought to their attention was Jack, of course, the bruise on his eye, and um, and that was in December. But it doesn't seem like there was anything, there was no extension of that. Where did things go wrong there? Could things look different now if they had have stayed involved and did some education and had some type of program that, they were to keep in some kind of uh, contact with uh, uh, Daniel and Malaya. Um, you know, um, anyways, you know where I'm going with that. So to me, that's what these signs as well promote, um, to keep that in people's minds that these things happen. CPS was involved, and not just in the name of these beautiful babies, but of course, like I said, others in the same circumstances, whether those circumstances had anything to do with what's going on here, it kind of, is certainly, we can speculate that it certainly could be. And I mean, just looking at the picture on the screen there, and I put those statements together there. Well, I put question marks beside it because it's just kind of like, you know, it's the question mark, like multiple bruises, anger management and violence management courses, CPS knowledge. And now we learn occur between 12, I think it was 5 a.m. I think I put 6 a.m. there accidentally, but when we listen to the voice of the Globe and Mail there, the article, we'll see then I might have made a boo-boo. And and now, and then all that leads to 2 missing children, you know? So when you put that all together and look at it, it just, something obviously is just not looking good here. It's not looking good. Um, and, outside of that, if nothing nefarious took place here, Why was nobody paying attention to those babies that morning if they did just wander off into the woods somewhere? Why was nobody paying attention to those babies? It's just sad. And again, with CPS involvement, and that is what took place, if they had have stayed involved and did some education and, would this have happened? And I'm not trying to lay blame anywhere. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's only right to take a look at things and try to do better, When you know better, you do better. Hi, Charmaine. Thanks for being here. Um, Crystal, thanks for being here. Native Girl, thanks for being here. Hope I didn't miss any, but Mark, thanks for being here. Uh, Charmaine, Bobby Joe, thanks for being here. Thank you, Bobby Joe. Not that all women can't be bitchy when they want to be. uh, I got my bitchy side too. um, I run a support group called Preserving Families. Very nice. It's a support group for families caught in the system. We are in 4 provinces, and things we see, hear, and witness is just so sad. Cheryl, that is awesome. Wow. I would love to hear more about that. If you were interested in coming on and doing a live with me, because these are the things here that, I mean, I didn't know about this. I think these things have to be known about. And I'm curious if you're saying 4 provinces, does that include Nova Scotia? Because if not, it sounds like something that, would be a great idea to have here in Nova Scotia. Um, I would love to have you on a live and talk more about that. Um, CPS failed these families. I agree, and I don't want to. It's not about laying blame and causing them to feel defensive or that they have to be. They just. It's only right that things have to be taken. Things have to be looked at, and I mean this not just because of this case, because of it. These cases over and over and over again, right? Yeah. Sharon, hi, thanks for being here. I think every worker involved in the Jack and Lily should be investigated. Ye- Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there should be some type of, I don't know if investigation is the right word, but the word won't come to me. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and not again, not to lay blame, but just to figure out where could things have been done better and then make those changes, right? Ginger, not from what I hear. He drives like a minivan, very few of them around. Oh, okay. So does Daniel know, or does anyone know if Daniel's black sedan is a 5 speed? Okay, Ginger. So that's one of you're going right where I was heading. That's one of the things that I was going to talk about. Um, yeah, black sedan. Is that what they said? A black sedan? Like I'm thinking the vehicle that's at Earl's. What kind of vehicle is that? And I know it said it's, needs repairs or whatever because and he can't afford them, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't drive, right? Just might mean around here because there's a lot of vehicles that are still drivable but can't pass inspection. So yeah, so your thoughts are right where mine are, and I'm gonna touch on that as well. I think every worker involved, Ginger, no, yeah, Ken, Sally. Hi, Sally. Thanks for being here. Aw, nice horses. Barb, hi. Thanks for being here. Yeah, hot here too. All right. So, New Brunswick, thanks for being here. That must be a bobcat in that picture, is it? It's beautiful. Mama Angie, hi. Thanks for being here. Okay, so let's go to this audio. And uh yeah, so like I said, remember it is AI, but it's exactly what's in the article. But you will notice some words that are not pronounced properly, like the AI cannot get Malaya's name correctly, but they actually did pretty good with speak oh my god. Uh Gee Willikers. Uh Spicanatica. Spicanatic. 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 They actually didn't do bad on that. Uh oh, thank you. Thank you, Mew Brunswick. I love that. Mew Brunswick. Instead of new. That's cute. Um okay. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The other good thing about this audio is that I can see what you guys are chatting about as well, because I can actually play and then come over to you guys, I'm pretty sure. So that's kinda nice. And I will stop it at certain points. Um, yeah, and then after that, we're going to listen to, the text Kent talk about the text between him and Daniel because there's something there that kind of caught my attention as well. All righty. Ready, folks? I'm gonna hit play. And if you're not hearing it very well, let me know. It does sound okay over my headset, so I'm hoping you guys will hear it just as good. Oh, you're not gonna hear nothing because I didn't share the screen. Guys, I also want to say, if anyone doesn't know, Charmaine has built her and her husband, a beautiful buddy bench that she's donating to the school where Lily and Jack went. And she is sending that from Vancouver, I think, um, to here, to Nova Scotia. Um, and I mean, that is, that's just so touching. And just when I picture in my head, just even the fact that picturing this bench making its travels uh, from the West Coast to the East Coast, like it just is so warming, right? It's just, anyways. And she has their names uh, on the bench that she herself did. Um, and I just think that's so touching. And I'm going to start donating some jackets. Hearing about, well, we're going to hear in this, and that just breaks my heart, of course. That would break anybody's heart that um, the kids didn't have proper winter gear. Um, so I'm going to start donating jackets to that particular school. I'm going to pick that school because of course, that's where Lily and Jack went. And to be honest with you, I think it's more the kids out in those areas that, suffer in that way. Not that they don't here in town as well, but yeah, I just think there's, is quite possibly more of an issue of those things happening on the outskirts, right? Um, all right, so let's go over to this and listen to it. At first, they're talking about some other articles that they were touching on that day, but they're not going to go into them. They're going to go into the Lily and Jack. And so there's two articles. The first one is about Lindsay and why she ended up having been able to gather so much information, kind of giving context before she goes into the big article about Lily and Jack. So this one's called Morning Update. Jack and Lily disappeared. What happened to them?
Morning update. Jack and Lily disappeared. What happened to them? By Lindsay Jones. Good morning. Two young children missing and nobody has seen them for months. Went missing in rural.
Uh-oh, it's not playing again. And when I come up, first thing I did was test that to make sure that it was playing, and now I can't hear it. I wonder if I have to refresh it.
Morning update. Jack and Lily disappeared. What happened to them? By Lindsay Jones.
Hmm. Wonder why it's doing that now. Let me try to unshare it and see what happens. And yeah, you guys feel free to chat amongst yourselves. If you have anything specific you want me to read, like a certain comment or a question for me, um, just put like a C in front of it, and then put your comment, or if you have a question for me, put a Q and then put your question, and that'll draw my attention to it. And try to do it when we're nearing the end of uh, listening to this, and then that way. Um, oh, you guys can hear it? Well, I wonder why I'm not hearing it. Uh, because when I first come up, I could hear it. Hmm. Um, Yeah, and try to do it near the end if you want me to see those questions and comments, and then that way I don't have to go way back in the chat. It just makes it easier, and I won't miss your questions and comments. Okay, so you guys are able to hear that when I press play? Let me know if you guys can hear this. Maybe I turned my volume down. No? Okay, that's weird. How come I can't hear it? Oh, Jesus.
Nova Scotia is banning recreational activities in wooded areas to prevent
I
wildfires.
still can't hear
Some
it
Métis leaders say
though.
they are optimistic
What
that
is
Ottawa
going
will
on here?
respect Indigenous rights
Okay,
on major
here's
projects
one thing I can
legislation.
do.
Victoria Mboko prevails against Naomi Osaka in National Bank Open final, capping a stunning run.
I wonder.
Investigation. Two children went missing and nobody has seen them for months. We took a closer look. Good morning. I'm Lindsay Jones, the Globe's Atlantic reporter based in
That's
Halifax.
weird.
My colleague
I
Greg
don't
Mercer and I
understand. And
have
when I
spent the
first come
past
up here
3
and I
months
tried
looking
it,
into
I
the
could hear it
mysterious
perfectly fine. Let's try it this way.
Morning update. Jack and Lily disappeared. What happened to them? By Lindsay Jones. Good morning. Two young children went missing in rural Nova Scotia more than 3 months ago. A closer look into their lives shows that all was not well, as their mysterious disappearance continues to baffle the country. More on their case below, plus what to know about a very Cold War-like summit and why collage art is back. But first, today.
Okay, can you guys hear that okay? Okay, good. So we'll do it that way then.
Today's headlines. Israel's security cabinet has approved a plan to take over Gaza City. Nova Scotia is banning recreational activities in wooded areas to prevent wildfires. Some Métis leaders say they are optimistic that Ottawa will respect Indigenous rights on major projects legislation. Victoria Mboko prevails against Naomi Osaka in National Bank Open final, capping a stunning run. Investigation. 2 children went missing and nobody has seen them for months. We took a closer look. Good morning. I'm Lindsay Jones, the Globe's Atlantic reporter based in Halifax. My colleague Greg Mercer and I have spent the past 3 months looking into the mysterious disappearance of Jack and Lily Sullivan, 2 young children from rural Pictou County, NS, who were reported missing by their mother and stepfather on May 2nd. The case of Lily, 6, and Jack, 4, has baffled the country and prompted endless online speculation. More than 3 months after one of the largest searches in Nova Scotia's history and an intensive major crimes investigation, police still haven't confirmed the circumstances of the children's disappearance. But as Greg and I discovered, it appears that there may have been clues, even potential warning signs, in the children's home life. I first arrived in Lansdowne, NS, to report on the case a few days after the children had been reported missing. Born and raised in Nova Scotia, I had never heard of the community of Lansdowne until Jack and Lily disappeared. It's a blur of wilderness on a rural highway, a gritty corner of Pictou County with a few dozen homes, no cellular service, and a network of dirt roads that snake deep into the hillsides. But now, for many others here in the Maritimes and across the country, Lansdowne is on the map, a place where 2 children can just disappear. One of the first people I spoke with was the children's stepfather, Daniel Martel. He approached me as soon as I walked into the driveway, offering up the home Wi-Fi and affably answering all my questions. He explained how he and his partner Malahia, the children's mother, had been dozing with their toddler on the morning of May 2nd when they awoke to a silent house and realized Jack and Lily were gone. He said he assumed they put on their boots and walked out the back door, leaving the fenced-in backyard. In that interview, he was especially preoccupied that Malahia had left him and gone to stay with her mother. She's going to try to blame everything on me, but she doesn't get in trouble, he said. What would there be to blame? I asked. At that stage, search and rescue teams were still scouring the woods for Lily and Jack, and many appeared to have hoped the children would be found alive. I don't know, he said. What he said struck me. It continued to perplex me as Greg and I sought answers over the following weeks, gathering information from neighbors, friends, family members, elected officials, and police. We learned that behind the scenes, people's concern for the children's welfare had already raised red flags. As our questions about Jack and Lily's home life became more focused, around drug use, controlling behavior, signs of potential abuse and neglect regarding the children, and financial struggles, Daniel stopped taking our calls and answering our messages. Malahia has done only one interview, one of the few times she has made a public plea for Lily and Jack. Police have described the case of Jack and Lily as highly unusual. Most missing persons cases are resolved shortly after they're reported, but the children's disappearance has become a complex and intensive major crime investigation. Dozens of people have been interrogated with some administered polygraph tests. Police seized electronic devices, viewed thousands of video files, and are following up on hundreds of tips as they await forensic tests on items found during the search, including Lily's pink blanket. The province, meanwhile, offered up a $150,000 reward. Without answers, rumors and theories abound. There are those who believe.
And I just want to give a reminder there, what, most of us have already discussed, that $150,000 reward, typically would not take place if our CMP were suspecting that Malaya took her kids and has them somewhere. Yeah.
Who believe the children are still alive. Others have resigned to a grim reality. Greg and I won't stop pressing for answers about Jack and Lily. We plan to keep looking into what role provincial child protection social workers had in their lives prior to their disappearance, and how RCMP are investigating the case. The shot. I love the tactile aspect of the collaging and the messiness. Collage art is seeing a surge in popularity with a new crowd hungry for offline social interactions. These event nights are part of a larger rise of analog pastimes such as board game nights and silent reading clubs. The appeal is partly to meet new people and partly as an antidote to infinite doom scrolling. The wrap. What else we're following? At home, Pro-Palestinian protesters converge outside Melanie Joly's Montreal home to draw attention to the situation in Gaza. Abroad, U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are expected to discuss Ukraine in a summit reminiscent of the Cold War, Mark McKinnon writes. What to know? Air Canada.
Okay, so that was the first article, which was basically just kind of giving some context before we go into the other article. And I'll click on it on here too. That picture there, Jack is smiling. That's the one picture. Maybe there's others, but that's the one picture I can see. He's noticeably smiling as he looks at Lily. And I just love how that sun is beaming in behind them in the background. Yeah. What a nice picture. All right, so here's the second one, which is the long one. It's 24 minutes, okay? Just to give you a heads up for anybody that hasn't heard it yet.
Months after Nova Scotia children vanished, a clearer picture emerges of their lives before their disappearance. By Lindsay Jones and Greg Mercer. Article has been corrected. Deep in the middle of Nova Scotia, far from its quaint coastal towns, sits Lansdowne, a hamlet of around 100 people in a cellular dead zone. It's surrounded by endless spruce forests, bushes like razor wire and bogs that breed swarms of black flies. Like many faded settlements across the Maritimes, Lansdowne reached its peak more than a century ago. About 150 kilometers northeast of Halifax, it was once a busy railway stop bustling with Scottish immigrants who dug iron and copper mines deep into the hillsides. Today, those mine shafts are abandoned. One lone train a day cuts through the community with a melancholic blare. Most of the people here live a quiet rural existence in secluded homes scattered along backcountry roads that only the locals know, where chickens and large dogs roam free, and the rusted skeletons of old vehicles sit marooned in the dirt. Much like American Appalachia, this once prosperous corner of Pictou County is now economically stagnant. 1 in 5 children live in poverty, higher than most other counties in the province.
And that shocked me to hear that because, I'm from here. I raised my kids here, you know, when they were, I think we moved back here, they were 8 and 9. Um, and I guess when you're not in those circumstances, you don't know how bad it is. I didn't know that. So that's kind of shocking to learn that. That's sad. Um, and like I said, that's why, when you hear about the fact too that they're going to talk about them not having proper winter gear, um, I just thought about donating jackets to that particular school in Lilly&Jack's name.
It's here where the lives of Lilly&Jack Sullivan were implanted 2 years ago, to a rundown trailer set back from Highway 289 with their pregnant mother and stepfather. They needed a place to live, and their step-grandmother, who owned the home, welcomed them to live with her. Life for Lily, 6, and Jack, 4. Inside the cluttered trailer in Lansdowne was chaotic. There were holes in the floor of the front stoop, tarps to protect the underside of the trailer from the elements, and so much racket.
So, you kind of wonder, well, how would Lindsay know that to put that in the article? But that's why I wanted to play that first part of the other article to give the context because she had stated she was there since the beginning, right? So obviously that somehow became known, and she found that out. So
Racket from the lively children that their step-grandmother soon retreated to a camper in the driveway. Their stepfather, Daniel Martel, 34, with pale eyes and ropey arms, worked at the local
pale eyes and ropey arms. Hi, Belynda. Thank you for being here. Lots of love, lots of positive vibes. Lily and Jack, 101 days missing. Thank you for staying with Lily and Jack. 100%. Yes. Yep. Right till the end. Yep. And for anyone that doesn't know, Belynda is the paternal grandmother of Lily and Jack, and she is their biggest voice right now. She is their biggest voice, and she is going to. She's pretty much vowed to stay on top of, where things, and I can't say may have, I have to say went wrong with the CPS because obviously something has to change there. Um, and in in finding out what happened to Lily and Jack and where are Lily and Jack. So thank you for being here, Belynda. Lots of love.
At the local hardwood mill. Their mother Malachi Brooks Murray, 27, a member of Sippinicotic First Nation with chin-length dark hair, stayed home with their baby Meadow. Inside the mobile home, a large wood stove filled up most of the living room. The kids' artwork was pasted to the kitchen wall, next to the sliding patio door that led to a yard where they spent hours playing next to the chicken coop. Lily chattered away to her dolls and stuffed animals. Jack turned over rocks and pieces of wood in search of bugs and worms. Outside the fenced backyard, and up over a steep embankment, the children sometimes played in a small fort nestled beneath boughs of spruce. It was like their own little dream world. Most days Jack and Lily hopped on the bus to attend Salt Springs Elementary, a rural school about a 20-minute ride from their home. Jack, smaller than his peers, was strapped in at the front of the bus, next to his sister. The morning the children were reported missing, the big yellow school bus rolled past the mobile home without stopping for a second day in a row. Jack and Lily were usually standing by the side of the road, waiting to be picked up. But earlier that morning of May 2nd, their mother had marked them absent from school at about 6:15 a.m. Both parents have said it was because Lily had a cough. They say they heard the children playing in the next room while they dozed in the bedroom with their toddler. Daniel has said he saw Lily pop in and out a few times. At about 9:40 a.m., the couple said.
So, and I just want to say where they're saying there that Daniel states he saw Lily pop in and out a couple of times. Now, I discussed this on one of my previous videos and had shown the vulnerable alert that was put out. And I also took up the article, well, it's not an article, but it's the alert on the RCMP website for Lily and Jack that was put out on May 3rd. That RCMP themselves state Lily and Jack were last seen May 1st, which just that to me is a big question mark, because they're not putting that in Daniel's, you know, allegedly saw them, or Lily, on May 3rd and heard Jack in the kitchen. And even Malaya saying she heard them in the bedroom. But Daniel himself states that he saw Lily that morning. So you would think that that would be the last time, right? However, that is not what our CMP put in their timeline. They state May 1st. And they actually say, when you read it, it says May 1st on Garlock Road. So to me, that would mean that they're going by Malaya seeing them when she put them to bed, because they're saying Garlock Road. So that would be, that's not the Dollarama camera. Well, we're assuming it's the Dollarama that handed over their CTV or CCTV footage, because that is not on Garlock Road, or Garlock Road, however you want to pronounce it. Um, but Then it was, I believe, later on in May, then it was, RCMP did come out and also confirm, um, or did confirm that they were seeing May 1st on the CCTV footage. So again, that would be May 1st, right? Would confirm that they were seen then as well. But they don't state May 2nd, so they're not going by Daniel's, last, or what he states that he saw them on, or saw Lily, um, the morning of the disappearance. So I just want to point that out.
Says, they awoke and realized the kids were gone. They were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet, she told CTV Atlantic. We get up and I tell my partner Daniel, do you hear the kids? And he says no. Instantly we are looking outside. We are looking everywhere, yelling for them. Jack and Lily's mysterious disappearance has baffled the country. More than 3 months after they were reported missing, after one of the largest searches in Nova Scotia's history and an intensive police investigation, police still haven't confirmed the circumstances of how the young siblings went missing. It's possible that there were clues, even potential warning signs, in their home life. A closer look into the lives of Jack and Lily shows that all was not well in the trailer in Lansdowne. That morning, Jack's blue dinosaur boots were gone. So were Lily's pink rubber boots and her white backpack with strawberries. The only clue left behind, according to the parents, was one child-sized boot print in the dirt driveway, a few meters from the home. Malachi called 911 at about 10 a.m. Daniel said he jumped in her white SUV and left to check nearby dirt roads, culverts, and streams. Soon an army of search and rescue volunteers arrived wearing orange hunting vests. They fanned out, conducting a grid search in the swamp and thick woods around the home. Drones and a helicopter scoured overhead. A police dog, on a leash with a handler, set about the yard. Police combed every inch of the property. They rummaged.
So notice they said police dog there. So I had talked in a previous video, because we know search and rescue, of course, had their dogs there, right? Which could be hound dogs. I'm not sure what they use for search and rescue. But I had talked about the RCMP dogs, um, and how they, and I had shown the video. It was the RCMP officer speaking of their dogs. They're all German Shepherds. Um, they breed their own, and they are all trained to sniff out human remains. So they're different than the search dogs that would have been there with search and rescue. They're two different types of dogs. So, besides that, they then have the very specialized cadaver dog, which I talked about Doc, because he was one of the first, I think, if not the first, and actually here in Nova Scotia. And his training was very long-term, extensive training, because Doc can sniff out the older remains, um, and remains that are uh, um, deeply buried in concrete, things like that. But just uh, the typical, outside of, Doc as an example. He's retired now, but we'll always use him as an example. The RCMP dogs themselves, as the RCMP officer stated in the video that I had played, they are all trained on human remain, um, uh, scent, to find human remains. um, so just a reminder of that. And they just said there that it was the police, the RCMP dog.
They rummaged through the mobile home, reached inside a hamster cage, tore apart a brush pile, unzipped the suitcase lying in the middle of the yard. They opened the top of the dryer at the end of the driveway and peered in the chicken hut. They searched the camper van where Daniel's mother Janie McKenzie lives 3 times. That morning, Malahia messaged the children's paternal grandmother, Belynda Gray. I never thought they would run off on me like that, she wrote. I'm so distraught. Hours later, and still no sign of the children, Malahai floated the idea that Jack and Lily were abducted. Many are suspecting they were picked up by somebody. she texted Belynda, because there is no trace of them or Lily's backpack. Daniel, meanwhile, was tearing through the woods on foot and wading in streams, telling people he was moving faster than the police helicopters. That day, carloads of family members pulled up to help search. In the mid-afternoon, a non-encrypted radio channel crackled with voices of emergency responders. Families brought us to a location there, not far away, that there's a piece of a blanket which the mother says she believes belongs to her daughter, radioed an official. Emergency responders dispatched a canine unit to the site, where they seized Lily's pink blanket, torn and wound around the lower branches of a spruce. It was about a kilometer from the mobile home, off the gravel Lansdowne Road where Daniel's father and uncles live. The road runs deep into the backcountry, connecting with dirt roads that snake further into the wilderness to remote lakes, backwoods dumps, and clear-cut tracts of land. When a police...
Now, the blanket, I know a lot suspect, that it could have been planted. But I think there could be two options there, obviously, that, yeah, it definitely could have been planted. Or it somehow, possibly, if something nefarious took place in the rush of what may have been going on afterwards, that it ended up there accidentally somehow as well. I think either or are an option. And just a reminder, everyone, everything here, of course, is speculation, in my opinion, and allegedly. So just a reminder, okay? Thanks.
When a police officer asked Daniel about the pink blanket, he said it wasn't Lily's, at first. Police began pounding on doors into the early hours of the next morning. They came to the door of Daniel's father, Earl Martell, a retired tire plant worker who lives atop a hill in a bungalow he built himself 40 years ago. Officers peered with flashlights into the corners of his living room, jumbled with the craft supplies and Hot Wheels of Daniel's two school-aged biological children, who often visit on weekends. Earl guided police into the yard, to old campers and a derelict log cabin filled with junk, and to Daniel's older model black sedan, in need of repairs he couldn't afford.
Okay, older model black sedan. So I looked that up this morning, and they, I don't know cars, and my husband's not here. He's a mechanic. He's worked as a mechanic, and he's got the mechanical mind. He knows cars like the back of his hand. So I looked it up, and it did state that yes, they are uh, manual, so stick shift. Um, and so I was curious about that, if that vehicle is a standard, um, because if so, is that speculating, total speculation here? Is that possibly the vehicle that was hurt? Um, yeah. So older model, black sedan. Um, yeah. Anyways, just a thought. Um, if anyone knows, I'm not sure if that's what you were commenting earlier there on, uh, Kent. If anyone knows, is that vehicle a standard?
Police also banged on the door of the home of Belynda in Middle Musquodoboit, about half an hour from Lansdowne. They were looking to talk to her son, who had been living there for the last 9 months after losing his roofing job. But Cody Sullivan hadn't seen Jack and Lily since he and Malachi separated 3 years ago. He'd cut ties after she filed for full custody of the children. Over the coming days, police returned twice more to interrogate him and take photos of vehicles. Through the night, search and rescue volunteers combed the woods, and helicopters and drones that can detect body heat scanned overhead. Malachi was up too, texting with Belynda. I have reason to believe they may have been taken by someone, she wrote. They should have found them by now if they were in the woods. The next morning, Belynda set out to help search for her grandchildren. As she drove toward the trailer on Highway 289, past the trail of orange traffic cones, it hit her where she was headed. Over the last 2 years, Malachi had distanced herself from Belynda. She stopped bringing the children to visit, later explaining that Daniel was jealous and didn't want her going there or giving out the address. The grandmother said she had never been invited to the house until she showed up to help in the search. Belynda didn't know this was the home her grandchildren were living in, a home that she'd noticed multiple times on her way while driving to Halifax. Wow, wow, she says she thought, as she stepped inside to speak to Malahia. Everything she saw, from the junk-strewn yard to the cluttered kitchen, was the total opposite of the neat and tidy woman she used to know. Even though she'd heard it once before, she needed to hear it again. What happened? She asked. Malahia opened the low, rumbling, sliding patio door in the kitchen, demonstrating how she assumed the children quietly left the home while she and Daniel were sleeping. Well, Malahia, Belynda recalled saying, you're the mom. You know these kids better than anybody. So where do you feel they'd go? What would take their interest? What direction would they go? She had no idea. That day, as search and rescue teams tramped through the woods, rolling ankles and plucking ticks from their skin, Malahia stood on the side of the highway in front of a local television camera. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today I'm hopeful they're feeling warm, she said, swallowing back tears. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. She also took to Facebook, pleading for police to issue an Amber Alert, a national public alert to help locate abducted children. I want my babies home. My children are not shy to strangers and will go with anyone. They don't understand stranger danger. She wrote on May 3rd. Daniel also pushed for such an alert, telling the Globe that abduction is a possibility, something he said he tried to raise early on with police, but he said they looked at him like he was crazy. Perhaps it's because the home is so remote, where few travel or have reason to pass by. Also, Nova Scotia police require specific criteria to activate an Amber Alert, including a description of the child, abductor or vehicle, and reasonable grounds to believe an abduction has occurred. In this case, RCMP have repeatedly said they have no such evidence. I asked them to go to every airport, all the airports, and intake for different provinces, pay in New Brunswick, Daniel said, breaking down crying. They will go with anybody. Because they're undiagnosed autistic, they will go with anybody. As long as you offer them food or water, say I'll take you home to mom or dad and they'll immediately get with them. It was late afternoon that Saturday when Daniel and Malahia's relatives began to turn on each other. In the dooryard of the trailer, a discussion about meth use in the home led one of Malahia's family members to hurl an accusation that Daniel must have something to do with the children's disappearance. The charge ignited a blaze of angry words. Eventually, Daniel's mother Janie ordered some of Malahia's family members off her property. Just up the road, Daniel and Malahia waited at the search and rescue headquarters for an update from police. It was around supper time when officers pointed out on maps where searchers had been. Suddenly, Malahia said she wasn't feeling well. She walked out with Meadow on her hip. In the back of an ambulance, Malahia sobbed uncontrollably. Her mother, registered nurse Cindy Murray, at her side. Daniel pleaded with Malahia to speak to her alone, but her mother stepped in front of him. Cindy, get the fuck out of here, Daniel recalled saying. The women hustled to Cindy's car, strapped in Meadow and sped off down the dirt road. I love you, Daniel called out to his child through the rolled-up back window. It was the last time the couple was together. After that, Malahia blocked Daniel from contacting her and later changed her Facebook status to single. Belynda emerged from the woods just before dark. It had been 36 hours since the children had disappeared and she was considering sleeping in her car to begin searching again at first light. But then she learned Malahia had left Lansdowne, something that has troubled her ever since. If she could leave, Belynda said, her chin quivering in sorrow, then it meant she knew her kids weren't coming back. Daniel was also upset that Malahia left. I've been the only one there for them, he sobbed in an interview. She can't control them. Only I can. They act out whenever she's there. She always gets me to calm them down, or get them to stop fighting, or feed them, or get them up, and put them to bed every night. She was asking me to do everything. It just breaks my heart not to ever see everybody. The day before the children were reported missing, the Mounties say the children were observed in public with family members. It was the last time they were seen by anyone outside the home. Daniel has said in an interview that the evening before the kids disappeared, everyone was home. He said he spent the evening working on the fence in the backyard. It was a night just like any other for the young children, he added, though he couldn't remember what time they went to bed. There is, however, at least one account of strange activity at the mobile home that night. RCMP spokesperson Corporal Carly McCann confirmed that police received a tip on May 8th from someone who described hearing a vehicle come and go from the mobile home throughout the night before the children were reported missing. Investigators are continuing to review and assess more than 600 tips from the public and follow up on over 800 tasks, she wrote in an email. A neighbor who spoke to the Globe said they reported this information on May 8th. The neighbors.
So the May 8th, now speculation here. um, on May 7th, I believe it was, maybe it was May 8th, but I think it was May 7th, is when the RCMP scaled back the search and did the press conference. Um, and people, were pretty much at that point concluding that the children are possibly not in the woods. So just total speculation here that that neighbor may have then thought, twice about hearing those sounds once the RCMP were calling off the search and did that press conference that, you know, that neighbor as well, like the rest of us, um, was thinking, okay, perhaps something else is going on here. And there was more to me hearing that car that night and then reported it. So that's just my thoughts on that. Total speculation, of course. Um, yeah, Ginger. Interesting how Dee says he's the only one that has control over the children. And coming from an abusive household myself as a child, as soon as I heard that, and that was prior to even it coming out that the whole him disciplining the children in the way that he was, I knew right away that that's what that meant. Um, you know, you can't control these children. I have to do it, and it's just the typical thing that's said when you're beating the children. Uh, so, yeah, yeah. When you go through those things, you kind of pick up on those things, and yeah, I knew as soon as I heard him say that earlier on that, okay, yeah, so that means he's beating the kids or throwing a boot at them or whatever. And he has to do this and to keep control of the children. Um, yeah. Uh, what was the other thing I was going to say there? Yes, and he's the one that always has to put them to bed. But yeah, he says, um, on the other hand, that Malaya puts them to bed, and she's the one that put them to bed that night while he was out working on the fence. I think we all can assume a lot of what Daniel states when it comes to all of that, it's the truth is being stretched. Very stretched. Yeah. I'm still stumped about knowing that Cindy is an RM. When I was EC and did nursing, we had an obligation to notify authorities about any type of abuse we see, been told, and even speculate. Yeah, yeah, I know. And I'm a nurse as well. And I know. And perhaps she did. We don't know, right? We know that school did, because that, teachers anonymously being honest about that, and I want to praise that child, although I know some people are saying she's speaking about something she shouldn't be. That's all confidential. Well, these children are not here right now. They're not here, and that stuff has to be spoke about. Sometimes when you're being told you have to keep something quiet or confidential, it becomes a very bad secret. And without that stuff being known and spoke of, there's no change that will be made. So I credit her to being honest. And I'm sure it was a dilemma, for her or him, to, um, to make that decision. Yeah. Hi, the pond. This was always been obvious, in my opinion. I can't believe there's no arrests. I know. Don't go missing in Canada, people. You will never be found. Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of, I hate to say it, unsolved cases around here. But this one is really drawing attention. I mean, people are just not letting this go. Uh, Dee is very good at creating the grand illusion, in my opinion. I agree, 100%, Ginger. Um, Granny, 100%, 100%. And Granny's Crime Busters, thank you for being here, guys. If you have not watched this channel is awesome. And she has been keeping this case alive as well. And it's absolutely awesome. So please check out Granny's Crime Busters. You're welcome. You're welcome. Lots of love, Belynda. We're not finished yet, but I just wanted to stop to make a couple of comments. Um, can't figure out why M decided not to leave when given the chance, as per Wade. Yep, but that's the cycle of abuse, unfortunately. Um, and it's just heartbreaking that it's kind of like an addiction, right? Where you know, it's that cycle, and then finally the cycle is broken and you break free of whether it's the addiction or the abuse. And it certainly seems like she was starting to take those steps, but it just didn't happen yet. And I'm curious if that was the phone call or a text where we hear that Daniel would hold her down and take her phone. If possibly that was a text or a phone call, I'd love to have that 100% confirmed because maybe it was Daniel who sent that text. If it was a text and said, "Don't bother coming tomorrow," or whatever, right? Um, that would be interesting to know. Oh, you're welcome. I know. Yeah. Yeah. My heart breaks for these kids. Yeah, you do a beautiful job covering it. You're one of my channels I watch daily. I usually don't get to catch a live, but uh, yeah, I agree, Nova. I have known people who have gone missing and the cops only make a couple of posters and then call it solved. Yeah, when the bodies are found. Oh yeah, exactly. No investigation. Yeah, yeah. Hi Sharon. Thanks for being here. Hi. Yes, some older sedans are standards. Yeah, exactly. And I'm uh thinking that his is probably an older one. Um and yeah. So sedans, like to me when I hear sedan, I don't know why. I think of and maybe it's cuz sedan suburban or something. I'm thinking of like a big uh van, but is that a car? Is it like a sporty car? Because I know around here and it's his age group. I don't know anywhere else because that's the age group of my children as well. That was a big thing. Those black out, sporty, loud, stick shift. And they'd put what my husband calls the fart can on them. And like, I'm wondering if it's that type of car. Yeah. Wanna Wanod's M is having D withdrawals. Ah, yeah, yeah. Man, oh man, what a shame. That's another bad thing around here. Ugh. And yeah, sedan usually Ford or older car. Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. That's what come up when I looked it up, and like they called his the black one, and when you look that up, it's actually that kind of sporty looking uh pimped out type, whatever you want to call it. Art sedans usually Forders. Yeah, yeah. Nova our laws should be changed. Yep, in the names of Jack and Lily for their legacy. I agree. I agree. Laws, CPS processes and policies. 100%. Yep. Yeah. Now, let's go back to this. But another thing I want to say before I turn this back on is, we hear a lot about how um, there's a car man there. No, no sedan would be any four-door car. Oh, okay. Um, um, yeah. So, just I just wanted to point out too. A couple of times in here, they're talking about Malaya, crying pretty bad, like the ambulance. I mean, it seems like she really broke there, whatever that information, the whole rug thing came about and the blanket thing. And it just seems like that was her breaking point that day. And then Daniel's going to speak about her crying again as well. So I know we talk a lot about her being so flat and not crying, but as you hear in here, she was crying. It may not have been, we may not have seen it, but she was crying. So, okay, I'm going to press play again. If you guys want to chat amongst each other while this is playing, feel free. But like I said, if you have any questions or comments that you want me to see when we're getting near the end, put a C and then your comment, or Q in your question, and hopefully I'll get to them.
Said they were working on a vehicle in their own yard when they heard the same loud, five-speed car come and go from the trailer about 6 times, from midnight to 5 a.m. After the
Okay, so it was midnight to 5 a.m. I put 6 by mistake. I guess I had in my head about 6 times this individual said he heard them. Now, anybody that knows cars, now my husband would hear a car and he would know if that's a 5 speed and whatever. Um, Kent knows cars, he probably would too. And I'm assuming this man, if you have that mechanical mind and you work on cars yourself, which obviously he does because he was out working on his car, um, that they know that. Um, and also, I know people think that's strange. He's working on his car over midnight till 5 in the morning. I don't find that strange. My husband's stayed out and worked on a car late because you need your car. You need your car, and if something's wrong, and that has to be done then, um, you know, uh, you get it done. You're taking care of your car. You can't afford to take it somewhere else to pay that $300 to $500 to get whatever done. And my husband's done that. Back in the day when we kind of had the rundown car that many of us around here have had and have gone through that phase. Um, so yeah, yeah, and especially if people work night shift or they're night people or whatever. To me, that doesn't strike me odd at all. Only because I've seen my husband have to do that.
After the children's disappearance, the neighbor considered it important information and reported it to police. The Globe agreed not to name the neighbor because of concerns for their safety in the community. For the next 5 days, search and rescue teams poured over the area. On the 6th day of the children's disappearance, police announced they were scaling back. It was unlikely, they said, that the children were still alive. In the following weeks, searchers returned twice more. They zeroed in around the home and the natural gas pipeline, a clear-cut trail of land that runs through the countryside, where a possible child-sized boot print was found. Lily's blanket was also nearby. Police divers scoured lakes. They drained the septic tank of the mobile home and inspected 4 abandoned mine shafts in Lansdowne, a search that's eerily familiar for locals. In 2002, amateur mineral explorers discovered the remains of a man who had disappeared 19 years earlier in one of these old copper mines. 39-year-old Alex Penny's car was found abandoned on a dirt road in Lansdowne, months after his mysterious disappearance. It's a chilling homicide that has never been solved, one that rattles around in the collective memories of the people who live here. Police have said they plan to search more of these old mine shafts for the children. A provincial database shows 5 within several kilometers of the mobile home. Dozens more pepper the backwoods and rural highways of Pictou County. Police have described the case as highly unusual. Most missing persons cases are resolved shortly after they're reported to police. But the disappearance of Jack and Lily has become a complex and intensive major crime investigation involving a tremendous amount of careful, deliberate investigative work, said
Now they said major crime investigation.
RCMP Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon in an update last month. The Nova Scotia government offered a $150,000 reward for information. So far, the Mounties say they've drawn on units from other provinces, interrogated dozens of people, sought 10 judicial authorizations to seize records or search warrants, administered polygraph tests, took possession of electronic devices, viewed thousands of video files, and are awaiting forensic tests on items found during the search, including Lily's pink blanket. Daniel initially told police and the Globe on May 5th that the pink blanket found in the woods did not belong to Lily, but he later changed his story. In a subsequent interview, he suggested the blanket was planted, taken from his week-old garbage. He also claimed 2 of his sweaters mysteriously disappeared from his home after the kids went missing. He declined to elaborate further. Behind the
And of course, to me, that's all ridiculous. That is so ridiculous. Um, and one of the biggest things for me was him saying that about the blanket. And I mean, now he's saying that no, there was 2 pink blankets, and he was talking about the other pink blanket. But Daniel always has something. Um, in my opinion, he always has another story to counteract his other story. Um, yeah.
Behind the scenes, people's concern for the children's welfare had already raised red flags. A child protection supervisor in the nearby town of New Glasgow rushed to prepare a memo for Deputy Minister Craig Beaton about Jack and Lily on the day the children disappeared, according to redacted briefing notes obtained by the Globe through Freedom of Information legislation. 2 weeks later, in mid-May, another memo about the children was prepared for senior staff in the province's Child Welfare Department. Opportunities and Social Development Minister Scott Armstrong, who also told the Globe he asked for more information about his department's interaction with the children, has so far declined to discuss how the government responded to concerns about Jack and Lily's well-being prior to their disappearance. What is known about Jack and Lily's interaction with child welfare authorities is that a social worker came to the trailer over concerns raised by the school several months before their disappearance to assess their home life. Teachers and other professionals who work with children have a legal duty to report if they have reasonable grounds to suspect a child has, may have, is, or is about to suffer abuse, and home visits occur when there's reason to be concerned about a child's safety and care. Daniel, however, told the Globe the visit was related to the kids' learning difficulties at school. He said the children were suspected of having autism and were scheduled to see a doctor the same month they vanished. He declined to answer further questions about the involvement of child protection staff in the kids' lives. From the outside, there were signs the children's home life was strained. They were developmentally behind other children, and arrived at school grubby and without appropriate winter clothing, prompting staff to provide it for them, according to a school board employee with direct knowledge. The Globe is not identifying the source because they're not authorized to disclose details about students. Last December, Jack came to school with a black eye, according to a photo of him posted by his elementary school. The photo of the class trip on December 13, 2024, 5 months before he and his sister disappeared, shows him sitting next to other students in the forest with a green and purple bruise below his left eye. Another photo shows a possible black eye and bruising on Jack's face in a photo taken in September 2024, an injury that Daniel defended on social media, saying it was caused by Lily. Daniel did not respond to questions asking how Jack received the black eye in December, but in private Facebook messages that were shared with the Globe, he acknowledged Jack had many black eyes. One time, Lily punched him in the face, he wrote. He also said Lily had a black eye when the children went missing, from an incident with a Tonka truck that occurred on May 1st, the day before the children disappeared. She pushed down on the truck and it swung up and hit in the face. The family was under pressure. A confluence of financial woes left.
And in my opinion, I hear a lot of victim blaming there, and I can't imagine. Look at Lily, how tiny she is. What kind of black eye could she give Jack? And all these black eyes. How many black eyes your have your children had? I have 2 boys, and in their whole entire existence, there's only one time uh, that one of them had a black eye. And I actually have a picture of it, not because I want it to, but because little boys are proud of their injuries. And my son, he bugged and bugged and bugged me to take a picture. And I was like, I'm not taking a picture of your black eye. Anyways, eventually I ended up doing it because he wouldn't let it go. And just only because he was so proud of it. and he even had his brother stand with him in the picture and put his arm around him. They were like 5 and 6. My boys are only 11 months apart, and, I can't remember how that black eye happened. I feel like he might have hit the corner of, the end table or something. I'll have to ask him how it happened. So I know he'll remember because he was quite proud of it. But I mean, how many black eyes do children end up with? Um, yeah, exactly, Granny. Exactly. That's so heartbreaking. Yeah, exactly, Belinda. Yeah. I wanna go back to your comment there about Malay and keep that up because, actually, I guess I'll ask it now. Um, yeah, so telling me she saw them last when putting to bed, but tell a different story now that she saw her poke her head in the room once Friday morning. But isn't that Daniel that said that? That's Daniel that said that Malaya saw them too. Like I didn't or maybe I missed something. Um, like, did Malaya say that somewhere that she saw them poke their head in the room too? Because I know Daniel said that he he's he's saying that yeah, Malaya saw them too. Um, anyways, just wondering.
Left the couple turning to relatives for help. Like many lower tier workers at the mill, Daniel had been cut back to one shift a week during the spring thaw because of an annual ban on heavy logging trucks on soggy local roads. His car, off the road because it needed repairs he couldn't afford, wasn't drivable, and he had to rely on his uncle who also worked at the mill to take him to work, or Malahia, whose maternal grandmother had recently helped her buy a white Nissan SUV. Daniel's father Earl said he bought the couple groceries and gas, and provided firewood to heat their home. Daniel, however, denied having money problems, and had claimed to friends that he was getting into investing and turning his life around after a divorce. Other means of cash flow had also been cut off. In recent months, child support payments from Jack and Lily's biological father had stopped after he lost his job. Malahi's monthly Canada Child Benefit Check, or baby bonus, which under federal guidelines would be about $1,900 per month, was halted because Daniel hadn't filed his taxes, which were due by April 30th. The struggles didn't end there. Malahia described Daniel as controlling and said she had wanted out, writing in a message to Belynda on June 15th that I never wanted to stay there. Belynda wrote back, saying she wished Malahia would have reached out. We would have done what we could to help. I know, Malahia responded. My mom is saying the same thing. Cindy, Malahia's mother, declined to be interviewed. After the children's disappearance, Malahia also confided in her paternal grandmother, Connie Brooks, a member of Sipinicotic First Nation. She described how Daniel would hold her down and take her phone. He was having her, I don't know what you call it, scared. She couldn't go anywhere, do anything, Connie said. That's what she told me and that's what I told the detectives. When she asked her granddaughter about drug use in the home, she said Malahia told her that Daniel concealed a drug addiction for nearly the first year of their relationship. Daniel did not respond to questions about these allegations, but he has insisted in interviews with The Globe that he's never struggled with drugs and does not have a drug problem. Despite that, he is admitted to taking methamphetamines and pretty much everything. He said he recently started attending Narcotics Anonymous 3 times a week and is taking online courses in anger management, depression, parenting, child protection, substance abuse, suicide, and violent behavior that are recognized by child protection officials. I have to
Now, I can say, having gone through a separation and divorce myself, um, my ex-husband didn't have to go through any of that. So that's not willy-nilly. Whether he was, whether that's, via the courts or his lawyer, there's a reason for it. Um, because anybody, you know, just going through a typical separation divorce, without addictions or violence or abuse involved, that wouldn't have to take place, obviously. Um, Hi, Heather. Welcome. And thank you for your beautiful comments. Yeah, I was thinking the same. 007, definitely. They definitely do because I've lived out in the country as well, and 100% you can hear everything louder, um, kind of echoey. And the light thing, yeah, that's what my husband would do when he would. I say would because we have a newer car now, so he doesn't have to do that anymore, but our cars were always secondhand and older vehicles, and he because he's mechanical, he always was able to fix them, but he always saved, like, a big box, um, and then he has those headlamps, and he also has a lamp that you hang under the car as well. And he would use that box and put the box out on the driveway to lay on. And then he would use his headlamp, or if he had to hang the lamp under there for whatever reason. Yep. Um, yep, there's ways. Uh, and it's kind of the way here, the way of life. There's m so many men that are backyard mechanics here and work on their own vehicles to keep them going to pass the inspection, right? Yeah.
I have to clear my name for CPS, he said. It's best to do that. Without answers, theories abound. For some, maybe they're a way to hold out hope, or to shift attention elsewhere. There are those who believe the children are still alive, taken or hidden somewhere. One such rumor circulating in social media group chats is that Lily and Jack were taken by one of Malachi's relatives and are being held on a reserve. The rumor prompted Sippinicotic chief Michelle Glasgow to respond on social media. That whole dialogue was made up by a racist fool, and anyone entertaining it is a racist fool, she wrote in a text message that she posted to Facebook on July 10th. The vacuum of information about the missing kids has stoked a voracious demand for clues and conjecture on social media and in the online true crime community.
That's right, and keep
One of
it
the most
going.
popular online sources in the true crime amateur community is It's a Criming Shame, a Vancouver-based YouTube channel, which has morphed into exclusively discussing the case. Its live streams about Jack and Lily have been viewed 500,000 times. For several hours multiple times a week, host Sonny Austin invites guests on the show to discuss the case and rants provocatively, calling out those who she disbelieves, in the case of Jack and Lily. Daniel frequently pops up in her live chats like a whack-a-mole, she says. Belynda has also called in as a
Funny.
guest. Most recently, she presented text messages with Malahia, who, when reached by phone, refused to verify whether the text messages were hers. Malahia has also repeatedly declined to be interviewed by the Globe, saying police advised her not to speak to the media. She said she has put her faith 100% in the authorities to find Lily and Jack. On the ground, the high-profile case has also conjured up other drama. Recently, a local online content creator arrived at the home of Malahia's mother Cindy under the auspices of buying a horse trailer. The man surreptitiously recorded a 45-minute interaction with her partner, Wade Paris, discussing the missing children and posted the video online. In interviews with the Globe, Daniel has said he had nothing to do with the children's disappearance, and he said he has passed a polygraph test with police to prove it. He lamented the stigma the case carries over into his everyday life. He's on stress leave from the mill. People stare or give him dirty looks whenever he goes out in public. Recently, at a used car dealership, he said a salesman snatched a vehicle key from his hand and walked away when he realized he was talking to Lily and Jack's stepfather. His Facebook is filled with direct messages from strangers calling him a child killer. Where are the bodies? He said they ask every day. But then a profile that the Globe has previously communicated with Daniel on also appears in Facebook chat groups frequently, offering up riddles and conjecture that the children were taken by someone they know and are being held prisoner. As long as I remain the target, the sick person or persons that have the kids may relax and make a mistake. RCMP better capitalize on that, the user wrote this week. His mother Janie has said she also believes the children are still alive, because she says they have never gone into the woods by themselves or wandered off. A self-described hermit, it took her more than 2 months to speak publicly, doing an interview for CBC and releasing voice memos in a public social media chat. She said she heard the children playing in the backyard from inside her camper on the morning they disappeared, and she too believes someone took them. In Malahia's Micmac community of Sippinicotic, her father Henry Brooks is hopeful his grandchildren will be found. He says the last time he spoke with the children, Jack told him he loved him. It's weighing heavy on me, he said. Really heavy. At her home in Middle Musquodoboit, Belynda spends her days alternately tending her sprawling back garden and advocating for her missing grandchildren. She appears on YouTube live streams and in social media chats, picking up breadcrumbs along the way that she hopes will lead to Jack and Lily. In her blue and white kitchen, where Jack once crawled across the laminate floor, and Lily hammed it up in her gardening hats and old eyeglasses, she is resigned to a grim reality. I think somebody there must know what happened, she said about the mobile home in Lansdowne. I don't believe my grandchildren are alive. But to not get answers, it's like no, there's answers out there. Two kids don't just disappear in the morning and nobody knows nothing. So, if they don't find answers outside that home, then the answers are inside that home. In hindsight, she says she wishes she would have pushed harder to see the kids, to see Lily on her birthday in March. Looking at photos of the children from the past 2 years, she noticed they looked thin, possibly malnourished with dry, cracked lips, something she says she might have picked up on had she seen them in person. And it makes her wonder about the other adults in their lives. She recently learned others had concerns about the children's safety in the home. She also wants to know what child protection social workers knew prior to Jack and Lily's disappearance, whether they suspected the children were abused and what was being done about it. I hate to say it, but every one of us failed them, Belynda said. We all failed these kids. Editor's note. A previous version of this article incorrectly stated that Lansdowne is northwest of Halifax. It is northeast of Halifax.
And there we
Months
go.
after Nova Scotia children
Yeah, and I just want to say to Belynda, you know, somebody who wasn't, I know you're blaming yourself, obviously, or you wouldn't have made that statement. And you're the only one taking any kind of accountability. And Belynda was not on that property, and she wasn't directly involved in anything that took place with Lily and Jack, you know, with them going missing. And of course, people in situations like this are going to blame themselves and look at what they could have did different. But I mean, you can't predict the future, and there's many circumstances that I've seen myself where that happens with takes place with the grandparents and the grandchildren, and there's, for whatever reason, certain dynamics or the situation that, you know, we can speculate that Malaya was in being controlled and whatnot, um, that those things happen. But eventually it circles back around and those relationships come back together, which it seems that was, closely about to happen because Belynda and Malaya had um, connected again. And Belynda was very close to, uh, she was going to see the children soon, but this had taken place. So it seems that, that circle was closing in where, Belynda was going to be back in their lives again, and nobody could ever predict that something like this is going to happen. And like I said, there's many situations where that happens, and I've seen it myself for whatever reason, where the relationship is severed with the grandparents, but then eventually it comes back together. Um, but those children do not go missing. Things like this do not happen. Um, so, don't blame yourself, Belynda. It's sad. Yes, she is their voice, 100%. Yeah, yeah, lots of love. In Nova Scotia, Children and Family Services can be involved in court-ordered programs through the Children and Family Services Act. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, whether it's court-ordered or his lawyer giving him advice, to me, it doesn't matter. Uh, the end result is that there's a reason for it because that's not typical. Um, I mean, anybody that has gone through a separation or divorce from their partner, unless it is involving issues with drugs and abuse and violence, Um, that's not taking place. There would be no reason for it. Your lawyer's not, my husband's lawyer didn't give him advice to go, you know, do all that, because there would be no reason. There'd have to be a reason why either the court is ordering that or your lawyer's giving you that advice, obviously. Um, yeah. So court involvement can lead to various programs and interventions, yep, including supervised access, counseling, and home visits. Yep, all aimed at protecting children and supporting families. Yep, yep. And I just honestly don't think it's enough. I, you know, I just keep thinking of oh gosh, what was her name? The three little boys. And he should not have had access, and he ended up unaliving them. And then you have the Travis Decker and the 3 angels. He should not have had access. And that's what I'm saying, like, things need to change. And in my opinion, Daniel shouldn't be having any access yet. Um, yeah, until this is all sorted out. And, I mean, taking online courses and, I don't know. I don't know how much praise I would be putting into that, but I think a mistake like this would be a wake-up call for anyone involved to get clean fast. Yes. Yeah. And I mean, how long can a person maintain that, as also if they're an addict? For some, yeah, it'd be forever, right? Hopefully that'd be your rock bottom. But for others, it wouldn't be. Would like to hear what Dee's first wife has to say. Yeah. Yes, I agree. Same Sky Painter. Yeah. Sky Painter, I think her thoughts are pretty clear. She doesn't trust Daniel with her kids. Yeah, and it's interesting that she's able to keep her children away. Uh, but Meadow, they have to want to change for the classes to be exactly, exactly. You can take those classes and training and online at that. And I'll tell you, like, we've pretty much lost our mental health system around here a few years ago, and our rug addictions programs are not the greatest. They're not really up to what is out there today. Um, yeah, we all would Sky Painter. Yeah, there are so many cases, Nova. It's crazy. I know, and that's why I say those signs to me. It's not just about Jack and Lily. It's in the name of all, these cases. For them to still have access is an extremely alarming red flag about our system. I agree. At Belynda Gray, let's hope the RCMP have spoken to her on the record. On the records, yeah. And that's the other thing. I still hold hope that Malaya, if there is something nefarious that took place here, that Malaya is working with RCMP. Um, yeah, because they would, in those circumstances, tell her to stay quiet. And understandably, because, those texts with her and Sonny, I had pointed out how she had stated, when Sonny had said, about Daniel, Darren, and Janie, telling different stories and what's their end goal type thing. And Malaya's response was, I don't know. And the RCMP doesn't. That's what the RCMP, I don't know. And that's what the RCMP wants to know as well. And I mean, it's stuff like that, right? Like a slip like that that, you have to watch for, because if they're taking a hard look at that and now she's kind of slipping that information out, I can understand that if she is working with them, that they would not want her talking. Um, and that comment in itself told me that there's conversations going on there behind the scenes with Malaya and the RCMP. Her saying that our country is losing the battle on rugs. Yep, yep. Malaya is upset with Belynda, probably because Belynda won't do as Malaya is doing, say nothing, doing nothing. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Um, I just think in circumstances like this, emotions are so high and people are going through stages of things, right? Denial, anger. Was DM taking a course about suicide? Yep. Why would that have been included? Is there a risk there? Very odd. Yeah. Well, I would say definitely, obviously, something, probably based on some things that he may have said, that, would prompt them to want to do that. And something that Janie had said in one of those recordings that should not be taken lightly, when she was talking about, you know, um, how they're feeling about the public being attacked by the public and stuff like that, was that she's afraid that a porta pick situation is going to take place. Now, a lot of people don't know what that means. I know what it means. I know Kent knows what it means, and there might be others here that know what that means. But I mean, that's regarding an individual who went on a rampage with weapons and unalived 22 people here in Nova Scotia, and two counties just on the other side of Pictou County, and um, so that should not be taken lightly. And I have to say, I was kind of happy when I heard that the fundraiser that was going to take place at the community center was canceled, because with her saying something like that, and then people being in a large group in a building like that, and her saying something like that, those things shouldn't be taken lightly, and especially with what's going on. Um, you know, surrounding, things like that being said is not good. Uh, all visitation is supervisor. Yeah, yeah. But in my opinion, there shouldn't be any at all at this point yet. Um, the uh, the three little boys that were unalived by the father, those were supervised visitations as well. The supervisor was right there when it happened, but he was able to lock her out and had the kids locked inside and did what he did. And I mean, especially if he's on that suicide watch and taking those courses, and Janie saying stuff like a porter pick situation, and I just don't like it. I don't like it. Maybe my mind just wanders too far, too deep into thoughts. I just don't like it. Let's face it, Canada wide, we are not funding mental health services as well as RUG. Yep, detox, help the way we need to. Yep, I agree. I definitely see that around here for sure. Our province is losing battle on rugs and mental health. Yep, just awful. Sharon, Belinda, how were you to know what was going to happen? Exactly. Exactly. You can't see the future. And I guarantee you, had this not happened, Belinda would have seen those children by now. Their That connection would have been back together by now. Yep. Uh, you really didn't know. But right now, you're doing everything you can possibly do to keep Lily and Jack in the forefront. 100%. Yep. She sure is. What's confusing is that Malaya asked for the fundraiser money that would be available if the kids came back. Yeah, yeah, and I did a video on that, my thoughts on that. Um, yeah, and was expecting custody. Very confusing. Motherhood. Um, yeah, and yeah, I think it's hard for a mother to admit, although I do believe she does know they're not coming back. There's that denial there, you know, because there's no closure as well, right? Like I talked about my friend whose son was he was hit by a car and he died and that closure's there. You know he's gone, right? And there would still be that denial. You still have that denial. Um, but you can come to a conclusion that he's not coming back. But with this, with missing people, that's a whole different ball game, right? Yeah. In my opinion, last ditch effort to take suspicion off of her. Mental health behind a lot of it. Yeah. Oh, yes, definitely, definitely, definitely. Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's why many people have issues with rugs. It goes back to mental health, right? The RCMP failed so badly, in my opinion, on this case. I'm not ready to say that yet. I got my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping there's some stuff going on here that we just don't know about. I'm hoping. Um, yeah. When my family member was in a DV, her baby clung on to her mom. Yeah, and wouldn't go with anyone else. Hearing the statement that MB was always holding baby M made me think of my family member. Yeah, babies do that at that age, especially when they're scared. I see that with my grandson when he's here and just something different scares him. The sound of the uh my husband might take out the that little hand vacuum, you pick up crumbs or whatever, and how he clings to me. Yeah, being fearful of something and scared, definitely. Yep, they're gonna cling on to you. Um, what does M have to say about the black eye incidents? I heard, and I can't remember where that was, if it was Sunny that said it. Where did I hear that? That she is aware of the black eyes with Jack, but she doesn't know anything about a black eye with Lily. And if that is correct, that in itself is very suspicious because if that's correct, and right now I'll say allegedly because I can't remember where I heard that. Uh, if it was something she said to Sunny or where I heard that, I'm sorry. So I'll say allegedly, um, because to me that makes me wonder. Well, if that's true, then did something happen that while Malaya was sleeping that she wasn't aware of or, you know, um, because Daniel has a tendency, and that was something he offered up on his own. Nobody asked him that. He offered that information up on his own, and that is something that Daniel tends to do when he thinks, okay, well, if this is found out, I have to give a backstory as to why. And now, whether it's truth or not, who knows? I don't trust anything Daniel says and take it as truth, to be honest. He would have to prove to me 100% that it's true, just because of his history of what we know of him and his stories. And I also find it interesting how Daniel was pointing out, Malaya's issues and Malaya's mental health and Malaya, after Belynda had questioned, does could Malaya possibly have postpartum because of the stuff Daniel was spewing, and of course we were all believing it at first. And Belinda was just trying to figure things out, and boy, he ran with that one and went on and on and on about that, like her mental health, and she can't do nothing, and he has to do everything. And then you find out he's the one who's, having to do all these things to prove his mental health and make sure his mental health is stable. Um, and again, like I said, whether it's a court order or it's via his lawyer's advice, it doesn't matter. There's a reason for that. That just doesn't come out of thin air for no reason, right? Um, okay, so I want to go over to uh, um, It's a Crime and Shame. Oh, actually, I will show you guys the pictures with this article as well in case some have not seen those pictures yet because they are here. So, of course, we know that's hope you guys can see that. Yeah. Yeah. So that's that infamous picture of Daniel, and that's his brother on the four-wheeler there that a lot of people talk about, and that is the four-wheeler that you hear being discussed in this case. Um, yeah. That's that lonesome bucket with the, shovels and the whole probably from the dollar store. Yeah, and I'm gonna assume that might be from Easter because that's usually something you give kids at Easter. I actually gave my grandson a little, or actually I ordered it, but it didn't come in, a little kit like that for Easter. Um, and some people say that that's new and it was placed there for the picture. It actually wasn't because if you go back and look at the original um, interviews and when they had went up into the woods, that was there then. I remember seeing that then because it stood out to me then. It just looks, it's a lonesome picture and it's sad. Yeah. And there's the art, Lily and Jack's art. Cute. You can see Jack's name there. Yeah. Mm, yeah. You wonder, eh? Yeah. And there's Belynda in her beautiful kitchen. Oh, Belynda, I'm just noticing that rack in the background with the dough roller. They won't come to me. My brain gets lost for words. Um, just off topic because my sister-in-law has like the grandparents, great grandparents. Yeah, I'd love to know where you purchased that, and I could tell her. So because she wanted to hang hers on the wall, and that is Malaya's father on the left, and of course we know who that is on the right. Um, I noticed when I was looking at this picture, I think it was on my phone. You can see marks on his hand there that looks like needle marks, in my opinion. If you pull it up close, I seen 2 marks, and then I pulled it up close, and it looks like needle use marks on his arm, on his, down around his wrist hand area. Um, and that is Earl's, log cabin shed area that they talked about in the backyard. And, when I first looked at the picture of that camper, and I must've been on my phone, Might have been my tablet, but because it looks smaller, I actually thought that was a man, a creepy man standing there, that door. I thought in beige pants and dark brown top. And when I first glanced, and I didn't have my glasses on, and it scared me, I actually went, "Oh!" And then I realized it was a door. But that all of that is so creepy looking to me. I hate to say that, but it is. Interesting to see a sign like that way out there, eh? Acknowledging that there are kids out there playing. Is that I guess that's Janie's dog there? Is that their yard? Lansdowne Road, about a kilometer from Jack and Lily's home, is where police sees Lily's pink blanket. Oh, that's not their property. It's got the chickens, the dog, and the toys over there, so very similar. Uh, that blanket has been sent for forensic testing. Yeah, and the that would be the train tracks above there. And I'm assuming that's probably, a part of, an extension of Salmon River, maybe? I don't know. Lansdowne Road, about a kilometer, children's home, array of properties, train tracks, and a natural gas pipeline, and a small lake. Yeah, and that's the searchers and the RCMP there. That's, one of the ribbons that they've traveled through there to search, and that's one of the little, kind of a half fort built there that Daniel said the two older kids did that. And that is the day of the vigil that was in front of the RCMP building. And that is just down the road from me, by the way. Hop, skip, and a jump. And that's the day of the press conference that they announced they were scaling back the search, but that RCMP would still be out there kind of doing part of their investigation, but that Ground Search and Rescue would be leaving. And then it was the next day that the neighbor put the tip in, and that is their school, little school, Salt Springs. And there's Jack with his sore eye. His whole face is, that side of his face actually looks swollen compared to the other side. Yeah. And that is Malaya's father and her grandmother, Henry and Connie. Yep, Connie. And there's Belynda again holding a picture of Jack and Lily. And I love that picture. He's smiling. Look at him smiling at Lily. And they're going to school, right? You don't see many pictures of him smiling, but he sure is smiling there. Yeah. Okay, now let's go over to, I want to play Kent speaking about his text between him and Daniel.
That one I didn't hear. But he got home, and so then I took it that they ate supper at home. Um,
Wait, what's I thought a Acropolis was this a
well,
restaurant.
no, you can. There is a couple seats in there, but it's more like a takeout joint. It's
Okay.
not a it's not a full sit in, eat in restaurant
Mhm.
like they serve mainly their menu is pizza. And if anybody's from Nova Scotia, you know that Pictou County pizza, we have what's called brown sauce or red sauce. And I
Perkins?
won't get any further than that, but it'll cause a war in most households of whether you like red sauce, which is a tomato base, or the
Mhm.
brown sauce. And but anyways, I won't go no further than that. So then that evening, I asked him what he was doing. He said that he went out to help his mom building the fence. Um, I said, "Were the kids already in bed when you come in?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, what time can you remember when you come in?" He said it was starting to get dark. So May 2nd, um, the time frame would be between, I would think that it would start to be getting dark, would be 7:30, 8 o'clock.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean Salmon River. I meant Middle River. Thank you, Kent. Thank you. Yeah, I I did a video on Salmon River because a lot of people were talking about that, and I was just kind of saying, no, I don't think that's possible. Salmon River wouldn't play a part in this. So I had that on the brain, but I meant Middle River. Yeah. Sorry.
So he said the kids are already in bed. Um, then Malaya went to bed. He didn't give me a specific time.
Hi,
He could just
Chalsa.
said that he went or she went to bed before he did. He went to bed after 12 o'clock. It was while he was going to the bathroom around 12 o'clock that he flicked the light on in the kid's bedroom.
Okay. So total speculation here again. Hi, Chalsa. Thank you for being here. And anyone who doesn't know, Chalsa is Belynda's daughter. So Chalsa is the aunt of Lily and Jack. And thank you for being here. And thank you for everything that you and your mom are doing, being their voices and keeping keeping their names out there. You know, Cheryl, Janet. Oh, Janice Potty. I think you. Yeah, you're doing voice to text, aren't you? Mike, hi, thanks for being here. Yeah, so that 12 o'clock, again, so um, we know, and again, in my opinion, it's total speculation. Um, Kristen, hi, thanks for joining us. Jennifer, hi, if I haven't said hi already. Anybody I haven't said hi to, hi, and I'm sorry I missed you. Lola, hi. Um, yeah. He must have found them. Um, I don't remember her saying that. I thought she said he did help, that the two of them were working on the fence because she went into detail saying, you need two people because someone has to hold this while you're doing this. And I remember that. Um, yeah, so total speculation here. So the neighbor says that he started hearing the sounds of the vehicle uh, in between the hours of 12 and 5. And now we have Daniel adding to what he's been, saying up to this point in that conversation with Kent, which was recent, most recent text between him and Kent, and Sonny had some there as well. Um, but he's stating that he did see the children um, that evening. Although all along he said it was Malaya. Malaya saw them. Malaya put them to bed. Um, he is now stating that he did flick the light on and check on the children, and that happened to be around midnight or thereafter. So anyways, that just struck me when I had heard this Globe and Mailer had read that you know here we are hearing that midnight, that time frame again. um, and Daniel has recently stated that he flicked that light on and checked the children in between that time. So I guess my question is, and total speculation here, and in my opinion, if something nefarious did take place here, which we don't know yet that any of that did, but just total speculation because of everything we're learning, um, did something possibly take place then? Um, and because a lot of times when Daniel's saying something, it's to, like I'll use the sweaters as an example. Two of my sweaters are missing. So if they're found with Lily and Jack, that was Malaya that took them and planted them there. Like there's always a story that comes out as a reason why this could be or that could be. So the reason why that light was on was because I was checking on the children. Um, you know, now is that so? Or is that possibly was that light on because possibly if something nefarious took place, that could be within the time frame of something happening. So anyways, just a thought. Just a thought. Uh, but from what I'm being told, neither parent has a standard vehicle. Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if that car that is at the father's place could possibly be a standard, and not involving Earl at all. I'm not saying that because standards can easily be rolled down a driveway, and then you know even down a road a little bit. If somebody wanted to sneak that out of there, and this is all allegedly, total allegedly speculation, and in my opinion, or not allegedly, but speculation. And in my opinion, um, it just struck me when I heard that vehicle being mentioned, and then I looked it up, and it is a vehicle that's commonly standard. So, um, a type of vehicle. So it just kind of got my brain thinking. And again, not pulling Earl into this at all because, yeah, I mean, you know, I know back in the day as a teenager, people with standard vehicles who have rolled them quietly out of a driveway and then got it started, a little bit down the road, to be able to, go joyriding. Maybe it can be done with automatic as well. I don't know, but I know standard definitely. No, supposedly Daniel's vehicle is a blue Dodge minivan, dark blue. Okay. Because that they said that vehicle at Earl's is a black, how did they put it? A blacked out sedan, something like that. No, you can tell the difference between a standard ATV and a standard car. Yeah, definitely, definitely, and especially a guy who's mechanical. Which obviously this guy he's working on the car in his yard could be extended family maybe. At Kent Corbett, thank you. That closes that side. So someone else. What does his brother drive? Yeah, Yeah, I hate to pull anybody's name into stuff that, that's why I was wondering about that vehicle that of Daniel's because things with Daniel are already looking suspicious. So I thought, I wonder what that vehicle is and if it's a standard. Um, yeah, yeah. Well, maybe we'll finish listening to that recording. That was pretty much that 12 midnight thing that stuck out to me. Because, like I said, Daniel, anyone who has followed this right from the beginning, watching It's a Crime and Shame, pretty much It's a Crime and Shame, um, and other channels, I mentioned Granny's Crime Busters, who is here, pop, popped in there. She takes a look at everything. Myself, Dolly Vision he's on to other cases now. Justin from Clutch Some Pearls, he's still talking about this case. Daphne's case files. Mike, who's here in the chat. If you click on him, you can go to his channel. Oh gosh, I hope I'm not missing anybody. If I did, I'm sorry, but there's a number of channels that still touch on this case. Um, we have been following this from the beginning and have gotten to know Daniel to the point where we know when he's saying something, you know, automatically you question, okay, what's this about? And you know, then something does come out that, oh, okay, that's why he was talking about that, right? To kind of give his reasoning or his version of why this and that is taking place. And I can just always go back to the two sweaters as an example. That would be the biggest one that would stick out. That if they're found with the kids, that Malaya planted them there with the kids, which is just a horrifying. When I heard him say that, I was horrified because, of course, it's like, okay, are you saying they're going to be found unalive and somehow these sweaters are with them and now you're trying to convince us Malaya planted them with them? Like, it's just very bizarre. But that is typical Daniel style. Um, yeah. Like I said, I'm only being told that I haven't seen it myself. Yeah, exactly. If I did, I could tell you what it was. Yeah, yeah, because you're a car guy. Yeah. Planted them there? Where's there? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I mean that was kind of scary when he said that. Like there's just some things that have been said and it just puts the chills and that fear in you and that was one of them. Like I remember I was actually in that live in the chat when he said it. So was Charmaine. I don't know if Kent was, but I just remember the chill and I was like, "Oh my god, what?" And I had to keep reading it like, "What?" You just can't believe that he's saying that. Like, and then the whole blanket thing. Like, um, but anyways, that's what strikes me with this 12 o'clock thing. I'm thinking, is that what's going on here now? Because he put that out there that, oh, I did check on them at 12 o'clock, and now we're hearing that this witness is saying that there's act, things going on between 12 and 5, right? Um, yeah. So I don't know, just speculation on my part. The pond and where was said storage? What else may be stored there? Yeah. And where was said storage? What else may be stored there? Yeah. The ATV was at Earl's place. He makes the payments. Yeah. Yeah. The whole thing is living arrangements a little different, eh? Yeah. He makes the payments, but Janie says it's hers. Hmm. No, those other two shirts, when they found them on dispatch audio, you can tell them that they were, yes, exactly, deteriorated. And they said they were older, considered them to be rags. Exactly. I believe they were determined to not have anything to do with it. Yeah. Yeah. But I believe it was a husband and a wife out walking their dog, if I remember correctly, that came across those. And they, yeah, were very old and had nothing to do with anything. Yeah. Those are not the two shirts that Daniel's referring to. That's a whole two separate things. Did they remove the ATV from storage specifically for the search, or was it just before? Well, the story is for the search. So whether or not that's so, who knows? Yeah. Kent, did you want to come on and say anything before before I say goodbye to everyone? You're welcome to come on if you have anything to add or say. Sometimes it's easier to talk with a voice rather than through text, or answer a few questions with your voice because it takes longer to type it and stuff. I don't mind you coming on and answering some stuff because you know more than I do actually. But the ATV was there when 911 was called. I don't know. Like Earl could have taken it down when they contacted Earl. Maybe somebody drove out and got it. I don't know those details. Kent might. Wasn't it? Or did it come over with Justin, or Janie said was Justin and I were on the ATV? Yeah. Yeah. But Daniel usually comes out after the fact. That conversation with me was before that tip was even known. Yeah, but I wonder if it was brought to his attention, right? With our CMP in one of their discussions, perhaps. Um, yeah, yeah. Or if it's just a thought that came to him that, oh, geez, I turned that light on. I better come up with something about that because if anybody saw me turn on that light, and they report it, so I better say I checked on the kids. And then it's just coincidental that the neighbor also, his statement is saying between 12 and 5, right? Which uh, just kind of came together. Um, Anyways, just total speculation, of course, right? Because we don't know, but um, just knowing the history of Daniel and stuff. Um, There's the link, Kent, if you want to come on. And that's just for Kent, nobody else, please. Today. Have any idea if they did an evidence collection of the trash that they disposed of once they cleaned up that mess in the backyard where they were taken from the yard? Um, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Kent, click on the I think it's easier for you to just come on and answer what questions you can answer because you have more answers. You know some of the stuff, like you can answer stuff that I can't. Um, and it's easier for you than to have to keep trying to type stuff. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I do believe that they went that it was stated they went through that garbage bag, I believe. Um, Janie said she met Daniel on the back trail that morning. Right. Yep. How did Daniel get up there? Yep. Because Janie went to the right, so Daniel had to come from the left. Yeah. Yeah. And why was he down there? Um, right? Well, I mean, supposedly, looking, but we know that pink blanket got there somehow, and total speculation. We don't know. But yeah, is that what was going on there? There's the link. I don't know what. New to streaming. Oh, geez, I thought that was the. I thought I put the link in there, but that was something else. There's the link there, Kent. Sorry. Yeah, and I almost feel like, if something nefarious did take place here, that Janie kind of let the cat out of the bag there by saying that Daniel was down on that road and she picked him up. Uh, because we wouldn't have known that otherwise. It was her that stated that. Funny how there was no ATV tracks from Janie or footprints from Daniel. Yeah. In what area do you mean? Belinda, Daniel came down from Garlock and up the trail beside house, in my honest opinion. I would like to know how he got there. It's not easily accessible. Yeah, I know. Because he didn't take a vehicle because they had to pick him up and take him back. Here's Kent. Hi, Kent.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Now, I have a headset, so we shouldn't hear your voice. There should be no issue with the voice thing.
Okay.
Unless it's on your end, but it sounds okay. I think everything sounds okay.
Yeah, I think it's usually, it's the position I put my phone in because I have a case on it.
Okay.
So the case covers the speaker a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if I stand my phone up on my end stand, then it reverberates back through the mic.
Yeah.
So that's what I seem to find when Sonny's complaining.
Yeah. I bought a set of their earbuds, and they're awesome because I have very tiny ears, and they come with a pack of, like, I think 10 different sizes. So I was able to go through them all and find what earbud's perfect for me, and, I use the earbuds, so then that way there it cuts
Well,
back on the.
I could use the headphone, like earphones, like, because I got them, but I don't know. When you plug them in, I find that the mic, because I know my speak to tech won't work,
Oh,
like
okay,
on my
interesting.
phone. So, like when I plug in the ear, if I was to plug in the earphones, that sort of shuts off like the microphone and it goes into the headphones. Now, I don't
Yeah.
know if that would stop the mic from working for intake as well, but I know it does. It doesn't allow my speak to tech
Oh my
to
gosh.
work.
Wow, why would that cut that off? Weird, eh?
Yeah.
Janie said he was in a vehicle and asked if he wanted to go with them. Okay, he was in a vehicle. Huh, I didn't know that. I thought he was on foot. Um,
I thought
yeah,
he was too, because he was up the old road. He, like, from what I can understand, Janie went right and Daniel went left, and then Janie went out through one path, like, because she was up by the forts, and then she come back down around and around the road and back up the road and back out into the little path, like by where the forts are again, like done the big
yeah,
loop. And Daniel, when she was saying about that old road up back, well, that would be like one of the paths that are just through the woods. And that was the way that I took it, that Daniel had gone. And that wasn't big enough for, like, it'd be big enough for an ATV, but it wouldn't be big enough for a vehicle.
yeah. Like because she said, I thought she said she took him back to his friends. So his friends probably were in a vehicle when she took him back to his friends. But when she found him, I thought he was on foot, is how I took it. But
Yeah. I think
uh,
she met that other couple on the ATV, her and Justin, that, like, at one point they did come along another, I don't know if it was wife and husband or what it was, but some friends that were on an ATV, and they stopped and
yeah,
chatted for a second. Like, but I didn't think Daniel, because there's only, from what I understand, there's only the one ATV.
yeah,
There's not two. So
yeah. So Chelsea said that that's what she understood as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Um,
big thing is like I say, I'm only being told, but I've asked the question to three people now. Two of them couldn't tell me what he has for a vehicle. The other two say they both thought it was a minivan, Dodge Caravan, and there's not, like, it's not a 100% thing, but
yeah,
I would say 99% of the Dodge Caravans weren't standard. Like,
yeah,
if you got a standard minivan, whoever bought that new ordered it that way.
exactly.
Right?
Those don't usually come standard.
No. And then,
um, and
like,
they're
for them to
considered
say
a
that it,
sedan.
well, no, most people call them a minivan, but
Yeah.
a sedan is basically any four-door vehicle with a trunk. Like, when you say a sedan, you're implying that it's four doors and it has a
Okay.
trunk.
Okay.
Because if it's a four-door hatchback, you either say hatchback or a wagon,
Yeah.
right? If it's only a two-door car, whether it's a hatchback or a trunk, it's called a coupe,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
Yep.
In car terminology. So
Yes.
for anybody that knows cars,
Right.
like this guy that was out working, although, like, depending upon what he was doing between midnight and 5 a.m., that's what I questioned, is what would you be doing? You need a sufficient amount of light if you're doing any type of work at all,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
But my husband
Unless,
always, like somebody had stated earlier, and that's what my husband always did, was that because we always had old beaters, but he could always keep them going and get them, to pass inspection, right? Because he's
yeah,
mechanical. But he would always keep a cardboard big, like if something ever came in a big box, he saved all those, and then he would put that under the car, and he always had the headlamps,
yeah,
and then he had a light too. He still has it that you can hang,
yeah,
and that's what he always
travel light.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you have to, like, we work on the cars during the day, and
yeah.
we have to have, like, sometimes a headlamp and a travel light, especially on the brand new ones, because they don't give you no room to work around anything,
Uh-huh.
right? And into late model stuff, like stuff, well, now the newer ones, they can be considered what is an automatic car. But if you flip a button, because a lot of the transmissions are electric now, then you
Yep.
can, if you want to be standard, you can drive it like a standard, but it's really an automatic standard because you got no clutch,
Yeah.
right? In the older ones, you had a clutch which disengaged the transmission gears from the back of the motor, so that way you could switch to the next gear and you're not grinding. That's where the term grinding gears come. If you got a bad clutch, to get those gears to mesh together at the same RPM, that's when you get grinding the gears,
Right. Now our
right?
car that we have now is both. It
Yeah,
does both.
yeah.
It's weird.
But 99% of the people don't take it out of manual because
Right.
unless it's a paddle shift, because that's the only way they want to be shifting, because you don't want to be reaching down. You usually got something else in your hand that you're not supposed to have, let
Yeah.
alone the gear shift, right?
Yeah, I've only seen my husband use it a couple of times,
Yeah,
for whatever reason he felt that that would work better for whatever we were driving in.
yeah,
And I when I used to drive, I can't drive anymore, but I didn't even know how to make to do. I never used it. I just wouldn't even attempt it. But he knows
yeah.
how to do it.
And then like Mama Angie says, it also, like, it didn't pour too bad Thursday night,
Mhm.
but it was raining,
Yep.
and because it really poured on Friday night.
Big
Um,
time. Windy. It was
but
wicked.
yeah, but it did rain on Thursday night, and it was cold. Like, it was only 3 degrees Friday morning.
It was very cold, and my husband it actually did reach 0 at one point because he had been checking. He's infamous for constantly checking. Um, and like, Belinda said she had frost, and,
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah. Like,
wouldn't.
if you were near the water,
Yep,
like if you were inland and you take, like, the area there as well as I am, you're going up hills like that are 500 feet in elevation, and you're going down 500 feet in elevation. That's why the terrain around there is so difficult, because it's like you're starting to go up a mountain,
yep,
right?
yep,
You're basically right at the base of it. When you're in that area, you're at the base of Mount Tom,
yep,
and
yep,
that's why it's a lot of rock cliff edges, like, and whatnot. So that's what makes the terrain that
yep.
tough.
Now, I have to say I have seen my cousin, my husband out, in that weather as well, working on the car.
Oh yeah,
Because you
it's
gotta keep
not.
the car going,
Yeah, if
and
you need
he would
it.
dress warm, put his jack shirt on, and that light that he would hang under there would give off a little bit of heat as well.
Yeah. But
Um,
what I was wondering when I first heard, and I said this yesterday on Sunny's Live, um, I wonder, because maybe, like you say, maybe somebody worked shift work, and maybe it was that they were just out there changing the winter tires off, because studded tires have
yeah,
to be off May 1st,
that's
right?
right, that's right, yeah, yep,
So
'cause my
that
husband
might
does
have
that
been,
himself, yep,
but then that tells me, like, it wouldn't take you 4 hours to change four tires. Like, they're probably, if you're changing your tires yourself, you probably have them on a set of extra rims.
yep,
Like, it's going to take you an hour to do it in the dooryard, right?
yep. The good
It's
old
just,
dooryard, yeah.
yeah, it's just awful convenient that. And the other thing, like, Sunny was looking at because she got out the Google Maps, and, like, the closest neighbor is the abandoned, well, it's not abandoned, but it's the old farmhouse driveway.
Yeah, I know exactly where you mean. Yep.
And they say that people only come there for a couple weeks during the summer.
Mhm.
Other than that, it's closed up all the time. And then,
Okay.
other than that, the next neighbor down the road that way, and this is if you come out of the driveway of the trailer and turn left, you come
Yes.
down and you've got the, like I say, that first farmhouse that's in back. You can see it in the drone videos of them when they were there. Then the next driveway or next neighbor is about that far down the road again. And then the the other way, it's about 1,500 meters if you turn right coming out of the. But and I think it was Charmaine that picked up on it, saying that it was the neighbor that lived on the opposite side of the road. So if it's the one that lives on the opposite side of the road of the trailer, then that's down the road and around the corner even further.
So that's the neighbor that
That's the one that's supposed
Charmaine.
to have put this tip in that he
Oh.
heard, because we were trying to figure out if it was the same neighbor that Daniel said. Remember when he made the statement, oh, that neighbor
Yep.
was talking about the drug party because
Yep.
trying to take
I
the heat
wondered
off
that
himself?
too.
Well,
Yep.
we were trying to figure out if this was the same neighbor, but I think it was Charmaine that picked it up in the article. It states that this neighbor lives down on the opposite side of the road. So to get a
Okay.
neighbor on the opposite side of the road, you even got to go further away.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing is, yes, there's definitely a distinctive sound between a standard and an automatic.
Mhm.
But the other issue that I would raise with that is what you talked about earlier. If you get one of these young fellas out there that gets one of these fart cans on,
Right. And they love
right?
them around here.
They rev them that way, and they just to get that noise out of their car,
Yep.
and it could make them sound like a standard, even though it's an automatic,
Yep. That's right.
right?
Yep. They
Because
love doing that.
those young fellas, and 99% of them are done on a Honda Civic,
That's right.
and now I would say probably 80% or 70% of the Civics, whether they're brand new or, well, the brand newer ones are automatic, of course, but like a lot of the Civics were 4 and 5 speeds even through the 2000s,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? I would say the Civic, if you're talking about the percentage made, I would say they were probably the greatest percentage to be equal, automatic and standard, as there in any company that's making cars.
Yep. Do you know who would know what kind of car that was? Lindsay,
Well,
because she saw it. She would or sedan, I mean. She would know.
no, she was thinking that it was Daniel's up at Earl's, but we have no idea if it, like, if Daniel's car is a minivan and it's automatic, well, obviously it's not that car.
Yeah, because in the
Like,
article she states,
she
and
wouldn't read the source.
yeah, there sits. I think she worded it there, and there sits Daniel's blacked out, old blacked out sedan.
Yeah, she said late model sedan, but I don't know. Like I say, that's why I say I was only being told that he had a minivan, but
Yeah,
I don't know if he had another car before that
yeah,
and it's
it-
sitting up at Earl's.
yeah. It just makes me curious, right? Because typically, like to me, I'm picturing those cars that age group would have, the
Yeah.
four-door Honda, um, that
And it's not cool because it's 4 doors, so I'm gonna put a fart can on it and drive around and rub
and a
my engine
wing.
up and
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, and the big wing on the back.
Right?
You know it. Oh my god.
I think
Yeah.
we're telling on people in Pictou County what they
Yeah, yeah. Thank God the Stellarton police has cut down and been pulling them over.
well,
Wow, when I first moved here, that's all you could hear.
yeah,
Yeah.
well they made it against the rules to get it inspected, right? Now
Oh,
your inspection rules have to be original equipment.
I didn't know
So,
that. Thank
oh yeah, and
God.
that's the biggest reason why they're cut down is because
Oh, thank
it's got
God.
to be original equipment. And then
Yeah.
see the Mounties, the moment that you put one on back, like if you take it and put your regular muffler back on for inspection, and then go home and put your fart can back on, well then the Mounties can pull you over for improper equipment because it states in the inspection manual
Yep.
that it's supposed to be proper equipment for emission control, right?
Yep, that's right. Yep.
So,
Well, it would be very interesting to
and then to me, the other thing was if, and okay, if it was 6 times, that mean that this car made 3 trips. And yeah, the first trip you might not think of it, but if the second trip was in a short amount of time, and then the third trip in another short, and like I say, there's no guarantee, depending which way this car was going,
yeah.
that it would be going past the neighbor's house. But I know if I was in there, that person that was outside that late working on the car, well, I'd be nosy enough by the time the second trip was coming around, I'd be at the end of the driveway checking to see what the heck it was that was going by, right?
Yeah. Oh, my husband would be too. 100%. Yeah, I know what my husband's like. Yeah, he would have
So,
checked it the first time he well, maybe not the first time. The second time,
yeah,
definitely,
they would have got
he
there
would
and
have
got
walked.
back, but the moment I would have been watching on the second trip to see when, as soon as I heard it start up in the driveway, I would say, "Oh, there comes that car," and I'd be
Yeah.
watching to see if he was going my way or the other way, right?
Yeah, yeah, my husband would be too. Now I wouldn't. I wouldn't be paying. I would just be like, "What?" I wouldn't, that's just me,
Yeah,
but
you
he sure as
wouldn't.
heck would've. Yeah.
You'd be still in bed, not knowing who was going by.
Exactly, but he'd come wake me up and probably tell me, "Now
Yeah,
there's been a car that drove by 3 times."
yeah.
Yeah, he would have filled me in for sure. Um, so if it is related to anything that if something nefarious took place here again, I always say we don't know. It's all
No,
speculation just because things seem very off and odd. Um,
because the other thing that we talked about yesterday, I don't know if you've seen the live or not. The other
I didn't. I
question,
had company here the last 2 days, so I'm kinda behind on all of that. That's why I didn't get on till today.
the other question that I raised about this tip, and we had quite the discussion, was I said, okay, this person made this was supposed to be happening on the first of this car, the night of the first.
Yeah,
The person didn't make the tip to the 8th,
yeah,
but it wasn't um this wasn't released in an RCMP statement to the public. So, but Lindsay in the article states that it was confirmed by the RCMP. So we do know because Belynda had told us, and I had asked her yesterday if she was necessarily at this one. She said no, she was only at one or two of them. But at each one of the RCMP, when they're releasing the statements and the media is there, each media member gets to ask an extra question
Right.
after they make their statement release. So because we had no idea of, like, we knew that they had 600 tips, but we had no idea before this article that there was this tip about this happening May 1st. So that goes back that somebody, whether it was Lindsay or somebody else, had to have asked if they received a tip about
Mhm.
this car making 3 trips between 12 midnight and 5 a.m.
Yep.
And then the RCMP confirmed that, yes, we received that tip,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
they didn't confirm anything else to the reporter, and, like, you know what I mean. So
Yep.
Lindsay had to have gotten that information, or the other guy that was working with her, from the neighbor when she went around asking questions.
Yep.
The neighbor must have told her, and then the media would have asked that as their extra question. And the RCMP stated that they confirmed it, because that's what Lindsay says, is that the RCMP confirmed receiving the tip, but it didn't go into any other details. They didn't say it was anything in connection to the case.
Right.
They didn't say that, okay, yes, and this person drives a standard, we're looking at them,
Exactly.
right?
And that's why it's all speculation on our end, because
So every
we don't
bit
know
of
if
it
it has
is
anything to
coming.
do with the case.
Yeah, every bit of it is coming to be as much of a coincidence as everything else seems to be in this case of the kids walking off into the woods,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
just, we do not know. Like, and
No.
till the RCMP start giving us a little bit more information, like,
Yeah.
I think there would be enough heads out there, once that we were able to put our heads together, without making accusations against anybody.
Yeah.
If we were receiving a little bit more information, then we could probably help move along the case just as fast, as it seems that the RCMP are taking their time.
Yeah. I will say, for RCMP to confirm that they even received that tip, and like Kent says, that's all they've confirmed. They have not said yes, and it has, uh, it is to do with this case and bippity boppity boo. They have not said that. They're just confirming they did receive that tip. That
That is surprising in itself,
in itself is telling, because typically what they say is they're not going to speak of any of that,
because it's an
regarding the
part
case.
of an
Yeah.
ongoing investigation, right?
Yeah. So they did want that information out there, uh, in itself, that, yeah, we did receive that as a tip, which is
Yeah,
kind of telling, because typically that's not their response. So, yeah.
yeah. So, the word games,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying the RCMP are playing games, because I know they're not. They're working very seriously.
Yeah.
I am on, like, maybe 50% of the people out there that don't have faith in them. I do. I know
Yeah.
some of them. Um, their motto is that they will usually get their man or woman.
Yep.
We might not like the process that it takes.
Mhm.
We might want to know a lot more information, but that's the Canadian system, like it or lump it.
Yep.
So,
Mama Angie, my thought on that, I don't know if you were here yet when I said that, and this is just speculation on my part, is because I believe it was the 7th that our CMP come out and explained that they were scaling back the search, that searchers were leaving the area, and it would just be them remaining there, working on their end of the investigation. And then that neighbor come out with their tip the following day is that, and just total speculation, is that like the rest of us, is when people were starting to question that, is there something else going on here? And that perhaps that individual did as well and thought, okay, maybe there's more to what I heard that night. I better, put this in as a tip. Just total speculation, because at that point, the RCMP are pretty much saying that they didn't find, we haven't found the kids. And uh, yeah, so maybe that's what prompted that person to go, okay, maybe something else is going on here, and they put that tip in. But what do you think of that,
Yeah.
Ken?
Well, like I say yesterday, I said to Sonny, which neighbor is this? Is this the
Yeah,
neighbor that week that Daniel said was trying to take the heat off himself? But then when we learned that, and I'm not sure which neighbor it is, if it was the neighbor that was trying to take the heat off himself, according to Daniel, or this neighbor, but one of them lives down the road and across the road, and the other one just lives down the road.
yeah.
I take it to be that the guy that was trying to take the heat off himself is the one that lives down the road,
Well,
and I
yeah, because
take
he
it that
specifically said he lives 500 feet away.
yeah, and the guy that made this tip is the guy that would live, according to Lindsay, down the road and on the other side of the road. So
Yeah,
that puts them further away from Daniels and their place. If you look at Google Maps and look at the next driveway on the opposite side of the road,
yeah. I'll have to look at that later. Yeah.
right? So,
You
but
said you guys looked
anyway,
at it last night. I'll check out that live. Yeah.
well, yeah, well, Sonny was on for 6 hours yesterday. So her and Charmaine started, and then she was on some by herself, and then I went up, and I was only going to be on for like 15 minutes because she was talking about something. And I went up, and I was there for over 2 hours. So,
Wow, that'll be a three-parter for me. I did click the like. I saw that you guys were on, and I clicked the like, but I couldn't watch any of it because I had company here, and my grandson was here, and he's my everything when he's here.
and then Friday morning, like when I woke up, I was looking for the story because I knew it was coming out. So then at just before 8, I looked online and I sent the link to Sonny, and Sonny said, "You going live?" I said, "When?" "Now." I said, "Woman, it's only 4 o'clock." "Yeah, but I'm going live." She said, "I'm ready
I
to go."
know.
I said,
God love
"Well, if
her,
you're
eh?
going live."
Yeah,
But anyways, she wanted to be first to get it out there. So,
yeah. She
but
does a great
anyways,
job.
the last thing that I'd want to say is I just want to let people know that we have the signs. Um, the 2 feet
Yes.
by 2 foot signs are available. Private message myself or text 902-759-8077. And we have somebody that has stepped up and is going to deliver them across the province on her own. She doesn't want to be out in the limelight in the front, but she said she loves driving and she'll deliver them across. So we're not going to, of course, send her out with one sign, but um, we're going to try to get 8 to 10 signs at least on a route, and then she'll go and if you need her to put them up. So right now we're going to be trying to aim going to the city either Tuesday or Wednesday, and then the other day, if she's available, we'll be going towards Amherst. So for those two directions, anybody that wants signs, if they could contact me today or tomorrow, and then we'll start putting them out there. And Yeah, like there's a couple reasons for the signs, is like you said earlier, and I thought those are very good. And then the other one is people will ask questions
Yep,
because they'll say, "Oh, they didn't find those kids yet?"
that's right.
Like, because other than Facebook, and I would say our local radio stations, the only news TV coverage we're getting is RCMP updates or when they done the family interviews. So we all know when the last family interview was given, and we all know when the RCMP last update was given, and that's all that's been on the news.
Yep.
So you're talking the middle of July. We are now coming into the second week of August, and it just doesn't seem to have the urgency as it should.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's another thing that the signs will do. It'll get more people asking the question,
Yeah,
where are they?
and keep it in people's minds so that if somebody does know something, they're gonna be looking at those signs hopefully everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanna give big credit to the Globe and Mail and Lindsay and the gentleman, now I forget his name, for what they did,
Mercer.
because that is the
Steve, is
type
it
of
Steve Mercer or Rick?
Oh,
No,
yeah,
not
yeah,
Rick. I think he'd be related to Rick.
probably,
Rick
yeah.
Mercer is a CBC reporter, but
Yes.
I
Yep.
think it was a Mercer. So
Yeah, because that's the type of article I was waiting to see. Um, you know, not about black flies and ticks and that's what I wanted to see was that. And just big kudos to them for what they did and collecting all that information right from the beginning of all this. She was collecting all that information behind the scenes. Um, and she did a great job and awesome, awesome article. Um, yeah, and kudos to you, Ken. You have, I can tell, a beautiful heart for, you know, for what you do, for what you're doing.
well,
Um, yeah,
got to do something, right?
yep, yep,
Well,
yep.
yeah, Chalsa, Halifax City. That's where, like I say, I'm not sure what day she'll be going, but we'll send your 4x4 down and a 2x2 for Belynda. And but if there's anybody else between Pictou County and Halifax that would like to order a sign, they're $20 each. That pays for the sign and the stand, and then we get $3 on top of that, which will help pay for missing person posters. And then at the end of it, when everything's all said and done, if there's any money left, it'll be the donation to the Pictou or to the search and rescue. So
Annabelle, I believe that the blanket and the boot print were found like a mile and a half approximately. Is that about right, Ken, from what you
I
understand?
believe so. Yeah, it wasn't far down the road from the trailer. The blanket, anyway. The boot print is a fair bit further because one boot print was found in the dooryard, and then the other boot print was on the pipeline. But
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
all depending on how you travel to get the pipeline. If you take the road route to get to the pipeline, you're probably traveling 3 or 4 kilometers,
Yeah, well, that's right too.
right? But if you go through the woods, like as the
Mhm.
crow flies, then yes, the pipeline is probably only 2.5 kilometers.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
So it all depends which way you go. And like those back road paths, like what Janie was talking about, they're all through the woods out there. But do they
Yep.
connect and get out to the pipeline somewhere? I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like the pipeline. Uh, they mow it, or well, brush cut it. I would say one every 3 or 4, maybe even 5 years. But like the pipeline, you can travel from New Glasgow to Halifax, and you could get up to Amherst. I don't think it crosses into New Brunswick at all. They wanted it to, but I don't think they went right to St. John. Like, I don't think they connected those two. And the same as the transmission line area.
Yeah.
You could take that right from Pictou County right over to like Halifax. And I would imagine then you could connect onto the trail. There'd be enough trails that you can go to Halifax on ATV and whatnot. Do I know my directions? I would probably get lost even if I had a path to follow. So
Yeah, me too. Annabelle, I did a video. It might have been my last one. Was it? I can't remember. But if you look in my videos, you'll see uh, it actually shows the Fundy Bay and the name of it's right in the video. You'll see it. If you watch that video, you'll see that that's a very unlikely scenario. Don't you agree, Kent? The Bay of Fundy?
no, I don't agree that it's involved.
No, that just doesn't
It
even there would be so
like
much involved in the time and the distance and
you
the tides
could
would
get
have
to
to
the
line up exactly.
yeah,
Um,
you could get to the basin, but if you want to get to the area that you're going to put them in the tides and they're going to be gone because the tides are so strong, like
right.
if you don't get them out far enough, when that tide comes back in, it's just going to take them right back in the shore,
Yeah. Yeah, it
right?
just doesn't
So, like
fit.
anybody, like I would knock on wood and eat my shirt if,
Yes,
if they were put into the Bay of Fundy.
I agree. Yeah.
Like it's too
Um,
far away.
it
You're
would be
if
something that I would never want to do because of the fact that the high risk of them not even being washed out or being pushed back in, it would be like a big no-no.
and to get there, like the shortest route to get there would be the Trans Canada Highway.
Yeah, and you gotta go through
And,
Cobbquid Pass, which is full of cameras.
well, all of our Trans Canada Highway has highway cameras
Mhm.
on it. They're
Yep,
only still shots, but they'd still, if they knew what type of vehicle to look for, it wouldn't be hard to find them
that's right.
on a highway camera. So then, if you're talking about taking the back roads to get to the Bay of Fundy, well, you need more. Like they said that this, Lindsay said in the article, it was about 25 minutes a trip for this car. So if you're saying that this car has anything to do with it, they definitely didn't go to Bay of Fundy and back
That's
in
right.
25 minutes.
That's right.
Guarantee you.
I yeah, oh, definitely. That's just for
They're
me
luck.
is a
They
definite
would be
no.
lucky if they got outside of and were able to get anywheres outside of Pictou County
Yeah,
in 25 minutes, except for going towards the eastern shore,
exactly.
down Shelburne, Sheet Harbor, that
Yeah.
way. But I still don't think you could make it to the Atlantic
No,
and back in 25 minutes.
no. To me, if that was they were putting water, and again, total speculation because we have no idea, but just speculation if something nefarious took place. I had did a video on Middle River because that's very close. It's a very common fishing area, and the river that most people fish there in Alma is very close to the mouth. It's the end of the river, which is next to the mouth where it opens and then goes through Granton and into the harbors. And we do know that RCMP were down Chance Harbor. They closed off that area and we're doing something down there regarding an
But
ongoing
to
investigation.
get from the Middle River to Pictou Harbor to get out to the
Yep.
Northumberland Strait, they have to go through a spillway that's about 6 feet wide.
Yep. Through that Granton area. Yep.
Well, through the causeway,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then if you're on the West River, then you've got several bridges to get through,
Yep.
small ones, big ones,
Yep.
and that'll come into well, it's still Pictou Harbor, but a lot of people call it Middle River Harbor, but
Yep.
just because it's on that side of the causeway.
I've
But to
always
get
called it
through
Pictou Harbor.
yeah, well, it is, right? They
Yep.
just put the causeway up the middle of Pictou Harbor and split it
Yep.
back in the 60s. But to get out, to get to the open water side of Pictou Harbor, you have to travel through a spillway that's only 6 feet wide.
Yep.
And
And it's
at that
risky.
point,
Sorry, you go ahead.
there might only be on low tide because you can see the gravels because that's where everybody goes and fishes bass.
Yep.
There's only 1.5 feet or 2 feet of water.
Is that
So,
right?
it's just that they're not, in my opinion, they wouldn't have been putting the water anywheres to try to make it to open water is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
And
they're in water to be hidden.
yeah. Yeah. And the only reason why I say that is if that was to ever be done, to me, that would be the only scenario that someone would do, not the Bay of Fundy. Um, and yeah, and it would be risky for sure, but in a situation where something may have happened and you're just doing something quick to, you know, to do what you have to do. If a person was going to put them in water, it would more likely be that than before the Bay of Fundy
Yeah.
ever.
And
Yeah.
you ain't traveling from their place to Pictou Harbor and back in 25 minutes either.
No, definitely
It's
not.
going to take you half an hour each way,
Definitely. Yep.
right?
Yep. There's a question on the screen there for you. If you want to answer that, I got to run to the toilet. I'm pulling a Sunny.
So Ken, it seems more likely they would be in abandoned well or mine. I don't know of any really abandoned wells because most time when the wells, they would be filled in. And the same as the mines, like you hear them talking about there's 5 or 6 mine locations. Even the one where that body was found from 20 years ago, it's an unsolved murder. Um, I might be wrong when I state this, but I think that one is like they close them up when they find them so that people can't fall in them. So that's part of it. Thinking planet, why planet only one? And then, but isn't the causeway only a few feet deep? Yeah, Daleen, at the spillway and low tide, like I say, you can see the gravels up on top of the water because that's usually where people go out that they can stand on to fish bass. They're probably 3 or 4 feet deep, unless you're right in that channel. And then the other question, why wouldn't the RCMP have put it in a release out on the 8th for people to come forward if they heard anything suspicious on May 1st? I would have thought they would have asked. Well, they did.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They did ask people if you've seen anything or have cameras. And like
Yep.
that's the other thing. Like everybody was all over the RCMP for not making the general ask for any cameras in the area. Okay, yes, you can say that. But like on day one where they had the command center set up, just up the road from the command center, there was a trail cam there. And they said, okay, let's go because all the trail cameras have to have IDs to be marked whose they are, who owns them, and whatnot. So they went and they got the information off it and they were trying to track down the owner. And the way that I read it is in the initial search area, that was the only camera they found. Then when they went out that weekend after they canceled and called off the search, that's when I believe that they found the other cameras. And that's why they then went and said, okay, anybody within this area, if you have cameras, please collect them and give us your footage. And then, so that's when they found the ladies. I can't remember her name, but she had the 7 cameras over the 44 acres.
Melissa.
Melissa. So they got hers. Well, then the following weekend, when they expanded the search and went the other way, they found cameras from 2 other owners. One guy had 3, one guy had 2. So, like, yes, you can say, why didn't they ask for anybody and everybody for their dash camera and sooner than what they did? But the reason why I believe they didn't ask for the trail cameras is because until they searched the area and searchers found that there was cameras in those areas, then they asked for them.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I believe. And like I say, yes, they could have right off the bat said, okay, anybody within 20 miles, or if you travel Garlock Road or the 289, we want your dash cams and or high or trail cams. Could they have asked that? Yeah. But also deal with it for them first couple days anyway. And I can't tell you at what point, other than the point when they were calling off the search. But for those couple days, they were going based upon the fact that the kids wandered into the woods,
That's right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But then when they came to day 6 and they were far enough out that they knew the kids wouldn't be able to travel beyond that point
Mhm.
if they were in the woods, that's when they made the statement they're unlikely to have survived if they're still in the woods.
Yep.
Right? And because that was the other thing I seen somewhere, somebody said, and I don't know if it was when I was watching Michelle this morning on After Dark, or anyways, somebody had said, oh, well, why didn't they, how did they word it? But they were talking about they basically declared them of not being alive. And I said, no, go back and look and see what they said. They said they're unlikely to be alive if they're out in the woods
Exactly. Yep.
because it's been 6 days since they had food and water
Yep.
and there was no sign of them. And I believe that those searchers scoured that. So that's why I believe that if the kids met with the worst case scenario, they would have to be located outside of the current search area.
Yeah, and I agree.
because I believe it was searched well enough. I don't think the searchers walked over them and missed them.
Yep.
You couldn't convince me that. As tight as they were walking to one another, like they weren't much further apart. If you put your arm straight out to your side, and the person that was walking the next person to you, they were probably almost able to touch hands if they weren't touching hands.
Yeah. When you look at that map that shows what they've
The grid,
oh, wow. I mean, you can't even see green for trees because it's all what they traveled, all the colors of what they traveled. And I can't imagine that they would have missed them.
yeah, no.
But
That's why I say that they're either outside of the search area
yeah,
or for some reason, and best hope that we have is they were sent off the property to
yeah,
be alive. That's the only hope I think we have of them still being with us.
exactly. Yeah,
So
which is a very low chance of that, but
it's low. I
yeah,
got to admit, like yes, but that's
still
that's
hold
what
on
gives
to
us
it.
hope. That what gives us hope. Yep.
Exactly.
So,
So,
but anyways,
I
I
don't
gotta
know if
run. Thank you
yeah,
for the invite up.
oh, thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Yep.
I don't know
Alrighty.
if you answered that one there about the well. I know you were talking about something when I went to the bathroom, but
Yeah. Well, like I say, they most of the wells.
we're checked. Yeah.
Well, I don't think they're like that land out there wasn't well inhabited, like really at any time.
Yeah.
Like the places where there's homesteads are still their homesteads. Like you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
And so as far as abandoned wells, I don't think there would be very many. The gold mines, copper mines, and the iron ore mines. Like I say, the natural resources usually tries to when they find the entrances and they check them out, like where they had there a few years ago, they had found that body from the murder years ago.
Mhm.
I believe they closed that one up. Like I don't think they just leave them open because um, there was too many people going into the woods trying to find them. I guess
Yeah.
is the way to put it.
Yeah.
And I would imagine like there's probably some that who knows back in those days, like when you go underground, it's the same as a lot of the coal mining in Pictou County. A lot of those men didn't come back,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And look at Westray. And there's so that's like now there is no pit mining in Pictou County. It's all open pit mining. That's the only mining that's left in Pictou County
Mhm.
is drip mining. There's no underground mines, and I think the last one in Cape Breton is finally going to meet its defeat because I see it's for sale again with the company that owned it after the last flood. So
Oh, wow.
the Donkin facility.
Yeah.
Alrighty,
Well, thank you for coming on. And
no
guys,
problem. Thank you.
Kent talked about the signs. If you go back in this video, you'll hear how to get a hold of him if you want a sign. Um, and I'm gonna skedaddle myself. Hi to everybody new that came in that I missed. Um, I hope uh, I hope we have some type of resolution to this for Lily and Jack. Thank you, Chalsa and Belinda, for being here, as well as Kent. And thank you to everyone else who has popped in. Please hit the like, on your way out if you didn't hit it on the way in. Lots of love, lots of positive vibes. I'll just quickly go down and put up your comments here. Nope, they're not related. They have become acquainted during all of this. Jack and Lily. Thank you, Ginger. Thank you to all my mods. I shouldn't say my mods, the mods. So thanks, everyone. Lots of love, lots of positive vibes. Take care, and I will see you again. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. It's never a for sure thing with me. Bye, everyone. Take care.